Welcome back, everybody. We are back after our lovely break week last week for more of the ALR 100% League. We are here in COTA, the circuit of the Americas, for round 18. This is the three-quarter point of the season, length point of the season, I should say. We've got ourselves through 18 rounds of this grueling season as well. It's been 100% for every race so far, which is, of course, the idea. But everyone's done a fantastic job of getting through the races that we've had so far in this division. And, of course, only 6 left now as well after this one. Of course, 56 laps tonight around the circuit of the Americas, of course, based in Austin, Texas, of course, down in the south of the Americas. And looking for a exciting race once again for tonight's one. Of course, the qualifying is now underway, the short qualifying format before we get into the 56 laps itself. And I think we've got an Alpine there going out first, so we'll have a look down the order. Yeah, good stuff. Indeed, Jenner there, unfortunately, not taking part in the qualifying, as he's unfortunately had to retire from the session. There we go. I think his teammate of Bannister is the driver that's out on circuit, or maybe I'm wrong. There we go. There we go. We'll take us through the qualifying, of course. First 18 minutes of qualifying, although we're about a minute and a half already into that session, into that timer as well. There we go. We have got somebody out on an outlap, I think, but I'm not quite sure who it is because it's for some reason not showing up on my screen. There's a Mercedes going out on track of Sick as Muck, who of course is reserving tonight in place of the Ewok, who usually races in the Mercedes, of course. But I think that's actually Jenner's car who's retired on track. That's the problem. I think that's what the reason is for that. Unfortunately, I don't know why Jenner's car was on track at all, because he seemed to retire in the pit lane. But there we go. That is him done and dusted in qualifying, and that is that. Hopefully you can hear the game audio enough. Let me just double check. There we go, done and dusted now. So that is Sick as Muck now onto the track, and we can see the Mercedes in action there for the first lap in anger of the race itself. Let's have a look and see how it's going to unfold for the Mercedes, and of course for all the drivers around here tonight. What we're aiming for in terms of the qualifying times is going to be a difficult thing. I think we've got a bit of sun in our eyes as we go blindingly down the back straight there. That is a lot of sun in the eyes there of the Mercedes drivers, and all the drivers there are going to be taking part in the qualifying session as well. That is not good news, because you can barely see what you're doing in that down that back straight, isn't it? So that is going to be tough for the drivers to try and negotiate there in the qualifying. Of course, hopefully in the race. I think it's going to be later on in the time, in the day, I should say, for the race as well. Not quite sure if the timer has been set to official or not. We'll have to double check on that one, but I think it actually is. It's the afternoon here in the USA, so we're having to wait and see what how the qualifying is going to unfold, because, like I said, it doesn't look like the weather is going to be very very kind to the drivers, especially in this qualifying. If the sun's going to be that low around around the final straight here towards the final corner, and of course down the back straight as well, that's when you're facing directly into the sunlight as well. That's going to be blinding for the drivers there to try and negotiate. Try and keep their eyes on the curbs, on the track limits there, to make sure that they're inside the curbs and on the grey stuff, not on the green stuff, really. So far, Sick as Muck there negotiating around turn 1 there to go through now turn 2 and into the S's section, which is modelled on the Maggots and Beckett's of Silverstone, of course. And round through here, not too tight on the apex there in the first few corners, but completing sector 1 nonetheless. He's unfortunately invalidated his time, so that is him done and dusted in this session as well. Dan Murphy is the next on track now. I think it's Vessier on track, so let's have a look and see what Vessier can do now as he comes through once again at the S's section of sector 1. It's a very tight and complex section as well, especially on the race start, when we'll see in the next 14 minutes or so, or 15 minutes I suppose, because once we've got the lobby sorted after the qualifying, then we'll be right back into the race straight away, of course. Like I was saying, the sector 1 is very difficult, especially to negotiate on your own. But if you're going side by side through there with somebody else, I would say be very careful. Serious Mushroom has said good evening, and evening. There's 3 evenings in there. I think it's definitely sort of afternoon, evening time here in USA as well, it looks like, but I can't really tell because the sun is too bright in my eyes, and I can't really see exactly what sort of time it is. Because I think it will be sort of the afternoon or the evening time that we usually have the qualifying format. I think it is in terms of the usual, in terms of the official sort of qualifying and race times, that is. So I'm not quite sure if we're going to have the same conditions for the race as well. Hopefully somebody in the lobby can enlighten me into what the weather's going to be like as well for the race itself. There we go. Dan Murphy qualifying. He's a changed man, says Serious Mushroom as well. Of course, Dan Murphy in the Alpha Tauri tonight, as a reserve tonight. Of course, he's managed to step in there to fill the boots of, I can't remember who's missing, but there we go. He is in the car nonetheless, and Vessier there sets the fastest time on the board so far with a 35.3. I don't think that's representative time there for any of the drivers there, including Vessier. I think he can go a lot faster than that, so maybe just setting his sights. Maybe he was a bit blinded by the sunlight as well. Here comes the championship leader there of AC Immortal around the final corner. He's very close indeed to, as Dan Murphy has been disqualified, as he's done a 33.4 there, has the championship leader there. He's up into P1 onto the top step that he's very familiar with, of course, is AC Immortal. But there we go, as Dan has been disqualified, so unfortunately he will not be taking part in this qualifying session either. He just needs to go back to the pit lane and retire in the pits, that is. But like I said, AC Immortal, the championship leader, he's not going to be mathematically able to win the title, I don't think, tonight. But he is going to be, if he gets another win under his belt tonight as well, then that will be pretty much cementing his position as the top dog there in the 100% league. And I think it'll be very close indeed. It'll be 1 or 2 points or so if in the favour of Immortal there to try and get the win in the next round, of course, which I believe will be Mexico. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to double check on that one. But I think Mexico is the next round to come up after this one, of course. We've got still 12 minutes left of the qualifying, though. Beat there, of course, the race winner in the last round with a fantastic performance there of Suzuka. Got himself a fantastic win as well after the strategy didn't go in the favour of the other drivers he was fighting, but he managed to get himself the first win, and one of the first wins there for the Alfa Romeo outfit as well in ALR this season as well. I think there's only been 2 wins in ALR this season, and both of them came on the eve of the break week, with Echo, I think it was, in bronze around Singapore, and then beat there in the day after, actually, in the Suzuka Grand Prix for the 100% league as well. So not too bad, not too shabby there for Alfa Romeo there in the last couple of weeks. Let's have a look and see what they can do in this one. Martin's put himself up into P5 as sick as muck. There's splits Vessier and Martin at the moment with a 35.8 in the Mercedes. Here comes Lucas Percy. Of course, Lucas Percy reserving tonight in place of KD. KD's broken his pedals, unfortunately. It seems like, anyway, that's what the photos seem to suggest. I don't know anything about pedals or wheels because I only use controller, because as I've been told since the day I started league racing, pad is OP, and I believe it is there. Dan disqualified, I may be wrong, says Serious Mushroom. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to that Dan there, but he's starting from the back at the moment. Serious Mushroom, of course, not set a time either, so there'll be more drivers that set a time to move him down the order as well. Brooksy there has also retired, so there's 4 drivers there not going to be able to set a time in this qualifying session, unfortunately for them. Down towards the beginning of Sector 3 is quite a different differentiation in this circuit. It's through Sector 1 and then Sector 3 is very complex corners, but then of course Sector 2 is made up of quite a lot of straights and quite a lot of high speed corners as well. So trying to get the setup right for the cars is difficult, I suppose, around here. As Percy there off the circuit completely disappeared into Narnia there, unfortunately for the Aston Martin driver. He's off the circuit completely, and he's just trying to get his way back on, but I don't know what he's trying to do there, because he seemed to be he just lost control with a snap of oversteer there, and now has gone off the circuit completely as well. Siege is the next driver to come around. Hopefully the Aston Martin doesn't get in the way there of the Williams driver, who's trying to get himself round on this flying lap there. As into the penultimate corner he goes. There's no Aston Martin blocking the way, thankfully, as Percy there has got himself sorted, and now around the final corner for Siege. Let's see what he can do there. On to the timing sheets. He's up into P2 there with a 33.976 there, half a second almost behind Immortal there, but onto the front row of the grid nonetheless with Siege. Good stuff indeed. He's had a bit of a difficult season since he joined the 100% league as well, but he's a very good driver indeed, is Siege, and I think we've not seen the best of him in the few races that he's done so far this season. Hopefully we'll see more from the Williams driver as well. But yeah, as we can say, I feel about that. The same thing about a few drivers, unfortunately, who they've just had a bit of bad luck this season, haven't they? And they've not been able to compete at their finest, and that is where that's where they've got at the moment. But of course, the next season, the new season, will be up upon us very soon. Well, hopefully, it'll be in about 2 months or so, won't it? Because of course, we're waiting on the new game to come out, and that will be when the next season resumes. They're on the new game whenever that does get released. I think it will be either either end of June or beginning of July time, won't it? So we'll have to wait and see. Across the line comes Kydell there. Of course, Kydell is oh no, he's just starting a lap there. Sorry for Kydell. Sorry, Kydell fans, you're going to have to wait another lap for him to complete a time. But like I was saying, Kydell there has done a great job in the league since he started racing. He's been putting in some consistent performances, got a few podiums under his belt. He's never claimed that elusive win there, so he's looking to claim that tonight potentially. We shall have to wait and see what he can do there in the McLaren. But yeah, looking for a win there for the McLaren outfit. Same for Reflection as well. He's looking to get himself up the order, further up the order than he usually is as well. Bannister onto the track as well in the Alpine. Of course, started off in the Alfa Romeo, didn't he? But he's now switched to the blue and pink car. But unfortunately, invalidating there in Sector 1. Not good news for the time being for those drivers there. Martin there's coming back to the pit lane, I think, so that is him sorted as well. Acid Masters has jumped into the car. There is meant to be a Mercedes as well joining us, hopefully in Danny's form, who is the full-time driver there in the Mercedes, as well as Ewok. Of course, Sick as Muck stepping in for Ewok, who said he couldn't come to couldn't make it to the circuit of the Americas tonight. But there we go. Lucas Percy's back out on track as well. He's trying to give his teammate a tow. I think here's X Gamer now going down the back straight there. Hasn't set a time just yet. But here comes Gamer now down the back straight. He's using his teammate as a bit of a tow there towards the braking zone there into the end of Sector 2. Very nicely done indeed there for Gamer as well, and a great bit of teamwork there between Lucas Percy and then Gamer as well. And now into Sector 3 we go. Purple in Sector 2 as well. That is looking promising indeed there for the Aston Martin driver. Car number 30 as well as Kydell pops himself up into P2. He displaces Siege there on the front row of the grid there. 33.8 there for the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed from him. Here comes Gamer though. We've seen has been fast in Sector 2. Let's see what he can do now as he completes Sector 3 and completes the lap time. Around the final corner we go. Can he beat a 33.4 there for pole position? It's going to be close indeed. I think it's a 33.6. He's been displaced Kydell now down to P3, but X Gamer there onto the front row of the grid there. We've seen the Aston Martins in the last few races done a great job, or have done a great job there in terms of scoring some big points and getting themselves up the order. So good stuff indeed from Gamer as well. He's looking good indeed, and I think Percy might have the favour return there from his teammate as they go down the back straight this time. Of course, Percy yet to set a lap time, as we had a bit of a difficult time on this first attempt, didn't he? As Vessier has left the session, hopefully Vessier can get himself back in the car. He's got 6 minutes to get himself back in the session as well. But there we go then. Here comes Lucas Percy there through the S's section of Sector 1. Where's his teammate? His teammate's a bit further up the order, isn't he? Hopefully the game is just slowing down. There's Percy goes first, purple in the first sector. Looking good indeed there for the Aston Martin driver. There comes through towards the next phase, the DRS. Of course, the detection point is just here, but of course the detection point is available for all the drivers now in qualifying. But of course in the race you have to be within 1 second there of the driver ahead of you. And now down the back straight we go, the sunlight blaring in our eyes. Here's his teammate there right in front of us. You can't really see anything apart from his teammate, the outline of the Aston Martin ahead of him. He pulls away to the left hand side before the braking zone, as here goes Percy now through into the end of Sector 2 as well. Good stuff indeed. Purple once again there in Sector 2 as well. Looking good indeed there for the Aston Martin drivers. Vessier is back in the session. Good stuff indeed as well. And now through into the last complex of corners. He's just spun the car. He's off the circuit, and I think that might be rear wing damage as well there for the Aston Martin driver. He's completely lost the car there on the exit of that corner, and unfortunately he has spun the car around. He's going to have to try and get himself rectified as there's other drivers coming through as well. But he's got the car. He had the time there. As Kiki's done the same thing as well, going through the right hander. He's lost the car, and unfortunately that is him off the circuit. Beat is coming around the corner there, but he's just starting his next flying lap. Unfortunately, we've just seen Percy and Kiki there have horrible issues there through the end of, or the beginning of Sector 3. And into the pits goes Kiki as well. I think Percy will have to recover to the pit lane as well once again. But yeah, it's unfortunate there. You see the car just not set up in the right way there for the not set up in the right way there. Unfortunately for the Aston Martin or the Ferrari as well. Reflection unfortunately has invalidated his time there. He's not going to be able to complete a lap time on this occasion, as he goes very wide at the end of the lap as well. Chewy there's back out on track here to set a lap time, the first lap time in the Haas. But he will come round. We'll have a look back at him as we go on board with Sick as Muck now. Into Sector 3 we go. Serious Bushman said, or was, it's great teamwork. Sorry, great teamwork, and he said indeed. Yeah, it was great teamwork as well. But from both the Aston Martin drivers, just unlucky for Percy there on the exit of the corner. They're putting the traction down, putting the power down, I should say, too early, and that caused the spin there on the lack of traction, unfortunately for the Aston Martin. But hopefully he can recover. He can get himself back into. He's back in the pits lane, and he can get himself a new set of tyres on that Aston Martin as well. Sick as Muck improves to a 34.5, puts himself P5 for the time being as well. Good stuff indeed from him. Acid Masters, like I said, joined in the qualifying. He's joined in the Red Bull as well, and he's up into P6 for the time being as well. Good stuff indeed from him as well. Fantastic indeed. Let's have a look and see what Chewy's up to, as Chewy's now going down the back straight there in the Haas. Of course, the only Haas that's going to be able to set a time on the board this event in this qualifying. 3 minutes left of the timing for the qualifying to be complete, and of course we'll be into the race after that has finished as well. So let's have a look and see. My throttle pedal isn't going to 0%. Oh, it's staying about 7%. Okay, not quite sure what's going on there then. That is the problems that Lucas Percy is having, I think, under his right boot in the Aston Martin. Vesio has once again left the session, so hopefully he can get himself back in again. But fingers crossed it's not an error that's going to be keeping on persisting there for the Red Bull driver, and he can get himself back in the car there for the start of this race. We've just seen, I think it was Siege displace Kydell there down to P3 as Chewy there. So that's the fastest lap there for the Haas, sorry to say. A fast lap indeed there for Chewy as well. 35.1 there, puts himself P7 for the time being. Good stuff from him as well. Siege, I think, has, like I said, Siege, it was the Williams driver who just jumped up the order up into P3 there with a 33.797 there, puts himself a tenth of a second ahead of the McLaren of Kydell, who's on an out lap as it stands at the moment. Good stuff indeed. Chewy down, just recovering back to the pit lane as well. We've got yellow flags in Sector 1. I think it's for... Is it for... no, it's not for reflection. I think it might be somebody else. Then we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully everybody is okay. Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, Percy's struggling with throttle issues as well. As Patrick Rodriguez has said, Brazil. This is not Brazil, I'm afraid, my man. It is the USA. We will have Brazil coming up, of course, and we'll have Brazil coming up very soon as well for the gold, silver, and bronze leagues as well. But yeah, not just yet. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a couple of weeks for the Brazil races to come along. But it won't be too long indeed. Of course, Brazil in the 100% league has already been done. It was the first round of the season, and Acid Masters was a surprise winner there in that one, and I think that is where he's left off. Really, he's not been able to get a win since then, unfortunately. But hopefully, he can turn that form around in the circuit of the Americas tonight. But we'll have to wait and see. AC Mortal sets the fastest lap once again. He's gone even faster. He's done a 32. The only driver so far in the 32s, a 32.9 at 7.6. That is looking good indeed there for the AlphaTauri driver. The championship leader, of course, is looking on form tonight. And Vessia is back in the session. Serious Rushman is trying to sort out Lucas Percy's issues. He's on the talking about the linearity, etc., all the settings that you can try and change. I'm not quite sure, like I was saying, anything to do with pedals and wheels and stuff like that. I have no clue about, because I have only on pad OP. As AC Mortal, I think, is done and dusted for qualifying now. He's just going to have to hope that nobody can improve on their times, but he's got a 7/10 gap to P2 as it stands at the moment. That is looking incredible indeed for Immortal. But here comes Gamer there. Let's have a look and see what Gamer can do. I think he's the next driver to go round on a lap indeed. Let's have a look and see. Siege is in the pit lane still. Bannister Reflection is still in the pit lane as well, as Siege is retired, I think, in the pits as well. So he's done and dusted for qualifying. Unfortunately for Siege, he's not going to be able to improve on his time. He's going to be staying P3 at best. Sick as Muck, Acid Masters, Chewy, Vessia, and Reflection and Bannister there also not going to be able to set a time. Hopefully Percy can get a time in. Same for Kiki, same for Martin as well, and his teammate in the Alfa Romeo Beat as well. But let's have a look and see what the let's have a look and see first, as we've got a very slow McLaren there. It's Kydell, they're crossing the line, but he's all sorted now. But here comes Gamer there down the back straight. There's no toe from his teammate on this occasion, because of course they're both on flying laps on this stage. But let's have a look and see. I think it's actually going to be. Is there an AlphaTauri? There is an AlphaTauri of Immortal there, isn't it? But let's have a look and see what's going on further down the order. It's Percy this time in purple in Sector 2 as well. So he's got the speed. He just needs to worry about the traction. I think he doesn't need to worry about actually too much of the speed as well, because he's definitely got the speed in Sector 1 and 2 to be able to get himself a good time on the board. Whether it's P1 or not, it will be decided now as we go down towards the final corner for the Aston Martin, I should say. I'm just making sure the traction's not too heavy on the corner, on the final corner here. But he's done a 32.654. That is incredible indeed, with his issues as well, to get himself on pole position there for the USA Grand Prix. What a fantastic lap time indeed there for the Aston Martin, struggling with throttle issues as well, but he's gone 3/10 clear there of Immortal there in P2. We were expecting Immortal to cover off that pole position, but what a fantastic lap indeed. I think those issues might be fixed. If they're not fixed, then that will be pretty much more formidable in the race itself, if you can get that sorted for the race. It's going to be coming up in a couple of minutes now, but Percy there on pole position there for the USA Grand Prix. We'll run through the qualifying order in just a jiffy, but that was a fantastic lap time indeed there for the Aston Martin driver as well. Mortal there does get P2. He's on the front row, but he's 3/10 behind the pole sitter of Lucas Percy. Gamer there in P3. I don't think he managed to. We did manage to improve, but he didn't get to displace Immortal, unfortunately, making it an Aston Martin front row. But he's in P3 for the time being. Siege in P4, Kaidel P5, Kiki in P6. Good lap from him. Sick as muck in P7. Acid Masters P8. Got in the race winner, of course, in the last race in P9. Martin, his teammate, in P10 as well, and then Chewy in P11, Vessier in P12. The remaining drivers unfortunately didn't set a time, so that is that. Not sure much. I'm just having to wing it, says Percy. So yeah, hopefully it's okay for Percy in the race. Like I said, he did a great qualifying lap. He just needs to make sure he just copies and pastes that in the race itself for 56 laps. That is, it's going to be quite an achievement. But like I said, Percy just shown he's got the pace there, even with the issues, that he can use that in the race itself. But we just had Acid Masters leave the session, so hopefully he can get himself back in as well. Fingers crossed anyway, but yeah, not sure what's going on there. Hopefully he can get himself sorted and back in the race. We've got a bit of cloud cover here in Austin. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure if that is going to be converted into a bit of rain later on in this race. We haven't been told what the weather forecast is going to be like in the race itself, but we'll have to find out. So yeah, not looking good indeed. But that is a bit of an odd one there for the drivers. They will have to take us through, or have to take it as it comes. Of course, it does rain sometimes around here, doesn't it? So we'll have to wait and see. It might be one that's half and half, or a bit of both. Maybe it will go from dry to wet to dry again. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? But we're just waiting for the drivers now to get their strategy sorted, get everything sorted for the start of this race. Get the tyre, as Acid Masters is back in the car, but back in the lobby. I'm hopefully he can get himself back in the car for the race start. Indeed, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully he can get that sorted before the race start, and he can take part in this race. Because we have seen some glitches where the driver who lags out can't take control of their car, and they can't, of course, compete in the race itself. Then, unfortunately, when they do have the connection issues at the beginning of the formation lap. So fingers crossed, there's no issues there for Acid Masters, but we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully, he can get himself back in the car in time. The session timer has just started. So we are ready to get going now for the beginnings of this USA Grand Prix. 56 laps tonight. Of course, the formation lap does not count, so there's going to be 57 technically. But the formation lap will be underway in just under 15 seconds' time there before the start of the Grand Prix. Right then, here we go. We've got the drivers on the grid. They are ready to get going as well. Hopefully, like I said, the Acid Masters and Vessier are the ones who are having issues. Both the Red Bulls having connection issues, it looks like, unfortunately, for the beginning of this race. Hopefully, they can get themselves into the car and they can at least get themselves underway. It doesn't look like Acid Masters is in the car still, which is unfortunate. I think Vessier is in the car. We've got a spinner there of the Ferrari, so that is not looking good there on the exit of turn 1 indeed as well. Only just turn 1. I think Vessier is in the car, which is good news, but as it seems like a lot of people are trying to get themselves trying to overtake under the formation lap, which I think is just people trying to get themselves sorted. I think that was a Williams there of Siege, who's dropped down the order as well. So I'm not quite sure what is going on here between all the drivers, but nonetheless, we'll have to run through the order as it is from the drivers at the back of the grid from the to start with. I think, shall we? Let's have a look and turn that off. We'll come back to that one. On the medium compound tyres, we've got Dan Murphy there in P18 in the AlphaTauri tonight, of course, reserving tonight in place of Can't remember who it is, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I think it's it's Scooby Stew, isn't it? Scooby Stew there, not taking part, unfortunately, tonight. Jenner there in P17. He didn't take part in the qualifying, but he is down in P17. He's not on the hard compound tyres. Only one of four, I should say, on the hard compound tyres. Bannister, his teammate there, on the mediums as well in P16. Not looking good in qualifying for the Alpine drivers. Let's see if they can turn it around in the race. Reflection on the softs in P15, same as Brooksy in P14. So soft compound tyres for a few. We just seen some debris. I think that was some polystyrene flying up, so hopefully the drivers can sort themselves out for the race start, that is. It seems like a bit of chaos unfolding, unfortunately. Serious Russian there in P13 on the medium compound tyres. Vessier on the mediums as well in the Red Bull, of course, in P12. Chewy, Serious Mushroom's teammate, is 2 spots ahead, but he's on the medium compound tyres as well, just outside the top 10 for the time being. Martin in the top 10 and beat both the Alfa Romeos there, P10 and P9 on the medium compound tyres. Acid Masters, who's not in the car yet, is on the soft compound tyres, so hopefully he can take control of the car at the start of the race, and he can at least resume the race from there. Sicker's Muck there on the hard compound tyres in P7. Kiki on the mediums in P6, I should say, but he's having a bit of trouble there as Lucas Percy has left the session now. Kaidel there on the soft compound tyres. He's in P5. Siege in P4 on the hard compound tyres. Gamer in P3 on the mediums, as is Immortal there, the championship leader, in P2. And our pole sitter is Lucas Percy, but I don't know if he's in the session or not, and hopefully he can get himself back in the session if it is just a connection issue. I'm not quite sure what is going on. We're waiting for the drivers there to line up on the grid still from the back, but hopefully he has not just, as Brooksy's been disqualified from the session as well, hopefully, like I said, we can get Lucas Percy back in the session. If not, after the start of the race, I will invite him, as we've had a few people there just getting disqualified there. But here come the lights there in USA. We have 5 red lights here in Kota. Acid Master's got a drive-through penalty for a jump start. That is odd, because I don't think he was in the car, was he? But there we go. The 5 red lights are off here anyway in America, and around into turn 1 we go, as Lucas Percy there, of course, in his ghost cars, having troubles there. He's been overtaken by AC Immortal and Gamer as well as we go into turns 1 and 2. Yes, there's movement at the back as well. We'll have a look at the position changes as well quickly. Movement at the back as Jenner and Vessier switching places into the top 10 we go. Martin dropping down the order into P13. Unfortunately for Martin, down the order, everyone seems to be got through all right, as Acid Masters are having issues. Serious Mushroom is going down the order as well. Brooksy's spun the car in the S's as well. And Dan Murphy and Kiki, I think, have had problems. Dan Murphy and Brooksy have had problems as well in the S's section, and they've got themselves recovered. Acid Masters is not moving at all. He is moving now, but he's got a bit of a problem there, I think, has the Red Bull driver. Chewy and Reflection switching places. Here comes Reflection now on the outside as Acid Masters has left the session. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Acid Masters. He will have to serve that drive-through, or his AI will serve the drive-through now, won't it? Lucas Percy and Kaidel. Lucas Percy's not in the session just yet. I'll quickly send him an invite if I can. Let's just search for his name quickly. Hopefully he doesn't take up too much time. Lucas. There he is. I'll send him an invite, so there we go. Hopefully we can get ourselves back underway. Acid Masters has joined back. So hopefully there was just an issue there with his car, but he's got himself going, or his AI's got himself going anyway. Lucas Percy, I've sent him another invite, but out in the lead is the championship leader of AC Immortal. They're looking good indeed as well. Gamer there is going to be putting the pressure on. He's trying to keep up with the Alpha Tauri driver, of course, as they go across the line to finish off the first lap in anger. Jinner's had a problem there. Well, no, he's not. Jinner's off the circuit. He is off the circuit there. He's coming back into the pit lane. He's not got any front wing on that Alpine, unfortunately. Sicker's Muck and Vessier in the pit lanes. Brooksy's got a 3-second penalty, the first and only penalty so far. Lucas Percy dropping down the order as he's still not back in the car, I don't think. Beat has got himself passed into P5. Down the order, we've still got more pit stop actions. Brooksy's left the session completely. He's DNF'd somewhere, and I think that might be the safety. Is that the safety car? That is good news for Acid Masters, because he's now going to have to use that to try and catch up to the order. But Brooksy there, I think, just binned it in the pit lane entry, so that is him done and dusted and out of this race after only 1 lap, which is quite extraordinary indeed. But there was no incident there, I don't think. It doesn't look like there was anyway, as everyone's completed their pit stops already and coming back out now. Acid Masters might have to he can't serve his drive-through penalty, of course, can he? he has to carry on in this race. I think he's back in the car, but he's back in the lobby anyway, for sure. So this safety car might help him out there. But there we go. He's trying to get himself back underway as Brooksy, I think, just gave up because Lucas Percy wasn't in the session either. So there we go. So unfortunately for Brooksy, he's the first and only DNF so far on the first lap, to be fair as well. So like I said, there's plenty of laps for more people to DNF if they want to. But fingers crossed they can try and get themselves to the end of this race from now on. The safety car has come out very early on, of course, at the exit or the end of lap 1 onto the beginning of lap 2, and I think that is it a safety car or is it just a VSC? I don't know if it actually is a safety car, is it? I can't see the safety car on the track, but maybe there is just a glitch for me once again. I'm not quite sure. It might just be a VSC. I think it is a VSC, but it was out for a long time. It was enough to confuse myself anyway, so there we go. It just shows that I have no idea what I'm talking about. But there we go. VSC was the only thing that was out on track, so that is done and dusted there. So now Gamer has the DRS enabled. Of course, it's not enabled on the main straight just yet because they were past the finish line before they passed the detection zone. As Chewy gets himself past Bannister there for P10. They're up into the points now. It is both the Haas drivers looking good indeed at this stage of the race there. Chewy looking to try and power on there at this stage on the medium compound tyres. We'll switch to the tyre compounds just a jiffy. There we go then. On the medium compound tyres is Chewy. Same for Bannister as well. Kiki has dropped down the order after that difficult lap 1. He's now down into P12, unfortunately, for Kiki, but looking to recover. Same for Vessia as well. I think Vessia had a bit of a difficult opening lap there, but he's on the hard compound tyres now and looking to go long to the end now. Same for Sickers, Muck and Jinnu, who both made their pit stops as well onto the medium compound tyres as we've got yellow flagged once again for Bannister. This time Bannister's off the circuit there at the entry to the S's section, or at the exit of the S's section, I should say, really. But he's had a spin there on those medium compound tyres and just needs to take it easy, especially through this complex of corners as well, because once you've overheated the tyres, it's super easy to spin the car once again, and he's managed to negotiate it very nicely done indeed to get himself back underway in the Alpine. But of course, recovering there after that spin, it's never good news when you spin, is it? And that is the problem. This Acid Masters has got himself back in the car, I think. Of course, has that drive through to serve, so he will have to make his way into the pit lane very soon as well. But he's managed to catch up to the back of Dan Murphy now. Dan, of course, having made that unscheduled stop, but of course, Acid Masters technically has to make an unscheduled stop as well, as he's got that drive through to serve. X-Gamer's off the circuit from P2. He's had a problem there in Sector 3. He's dropped down the order to P5. He's got his teammate right behind him, but I don't think Lucas Percy's in the car just yet still. So he's going to have to sit in his ghost mode for the time being as AC Motor sets the fastest lap of the race. But unfortunately for Gamer, he's had a spin there at Sector 3, and that has cost him his P2 position. He's dropped down to P5. He's not too far off the back still, off the top order. Well, off that P2 position, he's dropped down behind. The 3 seconds behind is the gap between oh, blimey, as Lucas Percy has been overtaken by Martin there into turn 1. Of course, Martin is in his car and Lucas is not just yet. He's got a power cut, apparently, he said in the comment section, so that is hopefully going to be rectified soon. But it seems like a lot of people are having issues there with connections and power these days, but I'm not quite sure what is going on there for Lucas Percy. Hopefully he can get himself back in the car whenever, or as soon as possible, obviously, to make up the time. But there we go. Siege now up into P2, but Kydell on the soft compound tyres is all over the back there of the Williams. Let's have a look and see if there's going to be any moves now on to lap 4 with the DRS available there. You can see the rear wing opening up there on the McLaren. And let's have a look and see on a different angle, can he get himself past the Williams there before the next braking zone? He can do. He's breezed past already with a fantastic move, and that is yellow flags down the back there for Acid Masters. He's off the circuit. He's got himself back underway. He's still not served that drive-through just yet, so he might have to serve it at the end of this lap, but yellow flags are being waved there for the Red Bull. He's just recovering the car there on the entry to the S's. I'm not sure if there was any contact between himself and Dan Murphy there, but in my eyes, we'll have to wait and see. There's no wing damage, thankfully, for the Red Bull either, so he can carry on at this stage. But like I said, not been a good opening couple of laps there for the Red Bull driver down the order. The Red Bull driver of Vessia is under pressure from Sickers Muck. Sickers Muck there, having made a pit stop there onto the medium compound tyres with some wing damage there on the opening lap there, has got himself back up to P13 and now past the Red Bull driver for the time being. Of course, the Red Bull driver of Vessia has made a pit stop as well, I think, but he's onto the harder compound tyres, so he's going to be a bit slower, but he's going to be going longer in this stint as well. So that is not all doom and gloom for Vessia. Can he cling on to the back of the medium runners and pull himself along later on in this stint? But there we go. Then Ginner there is clinging on at the back as well in P15. Dan Murphy, like I said, he's in a bit of no man's land as well at the moment. But Acid Masters was right behind him, but he's had to recover after that spin as well. And of course, that drive through there is going to be added on to his race time, his lap time, I should say now, because I think you have to serve it on this lap. Kydell has got control there of the second position at the time being. Reflection getting past Lucas Percy at the time as well. Of course, Percy's still not in the car, unfortunately, which is a big shame there because, of course, setting a pole position, he looked like he was going to be in control there of getting a good result. Acid Masters has entered the pit lane. He's retired in the pits as well, so that is him done and dusted. Okay, so that is only 16 left in the session as well. We were expecting, like I said, Danny to join as well, but unfortunately Danny didn't get in the car, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go, done and dusted. That's 2 out of the race in 5 laps there, which is brilliant stuff. But there we go. Unfortunate scenes there for some other drivers who had a bit of a difficult lap 1, and I'm not quite sure how Acid Masters jumped the start, seeing as maybe he did get in the car. I'm not quite sure how he did get in the car. He wasn't in the car, same as Percy is now, but he wasn't in the car for the formation. That was Acid Masters was definitely a ghost car on the formation lap. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to the Red Bull driver on the start there. Yellow flags for Kiki. Kiki's off the circuit again at the exit of the same corner as we saw Percy have problems as well in sector 3. He's got himself back underway, but it seems like those few corners there's again on those hard tyres, and the same for Bannister. He's off the circuit as well. Both these drivers having spins at the same time, and they've got themselves back underway. But both these drivers struggling. Indeed, it seems around this corner here, it seems like that's where the pressure point is, putting the power down too early there for the drivers, and that is causing them to spin the car because it's just a bit more the pressure itself, the traction itself is just not there for the cars to get the power down as early as they want the power to be put down. That is Dan Murphy's now been able to catch up to the back of the pack a bit more now after the spins there for Kiki and Bannister as well. They've got themselves recovered. Vesio is still sticking with Ginner though. Ginner's been got past actually the Red Bull driver, but Vessia there on the hard compound tyres is trying to stick to the back of that Alpine car as best he can as they go into the S's section as well. Nothing doing just yet as well. Oh, he's going to be close indeed, it looks like. Here comes Vessia though. He's looking to stick his nose in there, isn't he? If he can get the opportunity to make the overtake, he'll have to bide his time, I think, now as we go down towards the next hairpin towards the back straight. Lucas Percy has been passed by Sirius Rushman there. Sirius Rushman up into P8 there with the Haas outfit, and of course Chewy there in the points as well at the top of the time being, which is looking good indeed for the Haas drivers. Here comes Vessia though. The red light is flashing there on the back of the Alpine. That is indicating that there's no ERS, there's no battery power there for the Alpine driver, but into the braking zone we go, and there's no moves being made. Vessia couldn't catch up indeed in that straight. Unfortunately didn't have enough straight there to get the move done on Ginner there. Unfortunately Sickers picks up a penalty there. Unfortunately he got the second penalty, because of course Brooksy did have a penalty as well, but he decided to he retired in the pit lane, I think, but he caused the VSC, didn't he, somehow? So I'm not quite sure what happened there, but nonetheless Brooksy there is out of the race. Same for Aston Masters as well. The VSC didn't impact us too much there, but yeah, like I said, usually it's a safety car, isn't it, if somebody spins in the pit lane or bins it in the pit lane as well. Vessia is not Vessia. Kiki and Bannister once again are spinning at the same corner. This is good news indeed for Dan Murphy. He's managed to catch up to both of them now, but both these drivers, they're struggling indeed there with their car through those complex of corners there. Bannister is into the pit lane. I'm not sure if Kiki's going to follow him as well. Kiki there carries on, but Bannister I think has called it a day there on those medium compound tyres. I think they're just too cooked at this stage of the race there. He's going to have to switch on to the hard compound tyres. There is the Alpine driver, and that might be a good strategic call there actually for Bannister as well, keeping those tyres. Well, of course the tyres there themselves can keep them a bit cooler as Jenna picks up a 3-second penalty there going through the final part of the Essex section there, but Bannister there keeping the hard compound tyres, or putting the hard compound tyres on the Alpine there, keeps the tyres a bit cooler, like I said. So that, he's gone for a spin already at the exit of turn 1. That is not what you want to do on those new tyres, and that is dangerous stuff indeed, as he's almost in danger of being lapped as well. That is definitely going to be putting the heat through the tyres, and you don't want to do that, especially through the S's section, which is coming up next as well. So like I said, the tyres are going to be cooked indeed, especially coming out of the pit lane. The idea of going on the hard compound tyres is that you keep the temperatures down, and I don't think that is going to be the idea there for the well, they're not going to be encouraged there by the pit wall, I don't think, for the Alpine driver there, unfortunately. So hopefully he can get himself sorted out and calm that down. But there we go, through the SS section we go for the race leader, who is not far behind Bannister at this stage. And there we go. Then a game crashed, apparently for Acid Masters, yeah. But unfortunately, a pit and quit to his name there as well. That is not good news for the Red Bull driver. That is him out of the race as well. Only he did pit, of course, with the driver through, didn't he? Of course, as well. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how that came about really as well, because like I was saying, it didn't look like he was in the car, did it? But here comes Game. He's trying to recover after that spin that he had through sector 1. And now he's on the back of the Alfa Romeo. I think he's got DRS as well. He was in the range, I think, when they crossed the DRS detection point. It's not the same as the activation point, of course. It doesn't look like he actually got it, did he? I'm not quite sure. Let's have a look and see. No, there's no rear wing open there on the Aston Martin. He's going to have to do it all by his own work, as once again, I think it's Bannister off the circuit at the same corner. He just seems to be pushing a bit too hard there through that right-hander. Of course, it's a long right-hander, and it is very easy to overheat the tyres and go a bit too fast through there as well, as once again he goes back to the pit lane, and I think that's a pit and quit incoming. But there we go, then Bannister there into the pits as well, and so that is him calling it a day there on the hard compound tyres, and that is him done and dusted, I think, in this race as well. Unfortunately for Bannister, he's had a difficult time, I should say, as he does retire in the pit lane there. So that is 3 drivers who basically all retired in the pits, which is a bit pointless, but there we go. Martin there is carried on. He's doing a good job there. Is Martin in P7 there. He's looking to try and get himself after the McLaren of Reflection, whose Reflection's got a lot of pace there, but on the soft compound tyres, we might see them start to drop off very soon indeed. I'm not quite sure if the soft compound tyres are going to last much longer than 10 laps, and they've done 8 laps, or they're on the 9th lap already, aren't they? So that is that. Lucas Percy says he's back there. He's not back in the lobby. I don't think he's not back in his car, unfortunately, but hopefully he can get himself sorted. I have sent another invite, so hopefully he can get himself back in. If you need another one, just let me know. Holler at me in the comment section. But out in front at the moment, it's a 7.5 second gap between Immortal and Kydell. Kydell on the soft compound tyres has done a great job, but I don't think they're going to be holding on for much longer. As I said earlier, with the same for Reflection, his teammate, both the McLarens out on the soft compound tyres. We saw Brooksy start on the softs as well, I think it was, but he's not had a good time. Same for Acid Masters and same for Bannister as well. All of them out of the race already, all by retiring in the pit lane there, as Gamer gets himself past the Alfa Romeo there into sector 3 we go, and up into P4 goes the Aston Martin. Good stuff indeed, a great overtake indeed as well for car number 30 as well. He's up into P4, and he's got his sights set now on Siege, who's only half a second or so ahead of the Aston Martin. Yellow flags for Kiki. Kiki's off the circuit again. He's got himself back underway, I think, but there we go. Session no longer exists. It definitely does. And let me just get an invite over to Percy. Well, hopefully it does, because hopefully I'm still in it commentating, but we'll have an invite, get an invite for Percy quickly as soon as we can. There we go. We'll send that over to, I think that has been sent. There we go. Good stuff. So yeah, hopefully Percy can get himself back in the car, back in the session. Well, back in the car and in the session as well at the same time. But hopefully we're in the right session as well, as he's got Chewy there putting the pressure on the Aston Martin for the time being, trying to get himself past there, as Chewy there still struggling to get himself through. We go through the final corner now on to lap 11 there for the Haas driver. Oh no, it was lap 10, sorry. But he's having troubles there trying to get himself past, so I'm not quite sure if Chewy's there just struggling with the car at the moment, or if there's other issues there. Lucas Percy is back in the session. He is back in the session there at least, which is good news, as Chewy does pass him, but he's still in the points pen positions as Percy, and of course on the hard compound tyres he's still got a long way to go on this stint. But like I said, he needs to get himself past. Chewy there is struggling, I think, to try and contain the Aston Martin Ghost car at the moment. Unfortunately for Chewy there, not looking good. Vessia there is on the back of Ginner, same for Ginner as well with Sick as Muck. These guys are all battling together, these three. Dan Murphy has dropped off the back of these drivers as well. Kiki is carrying on, he's soldering on, which is good news indeed for Kiki. He's showing how to do it for the guys who've retired in the pit lane already. Here comes Siege and Gamer, they're battling away into sector 3. No moves being made. It looked like there was going to be some attempt there from a Gamer as well, but nothing doing just yet, unfortunately. Siege covers off the inside there into the left-hander there. Here comes Gamer, I should say, trying to get the switch back, but no moves being made just yet along the right hand. Around the right-hander we go. Of course, we've seen a lot of drivers spin already here in the first 10 laps, that is, as Lucas Percy gets himself back in the car and back past Chewy there for P9. But yeah, like I said, Siege and Gamer there resuming their battle there on to the next lap as well. On to lap 11 we go now. We're almost a fifth of the way through this race, aren't we? But not quite yet. Another few corners to go. Vessia and Ginner there resuming their battle. Vessia up into P12. Acid Master said the softs drop off after 14 laps, so he doesn't think the softs are going to be about out for much longer. I'm not quite sure how long they're going to be used for the McLaren drivers, though, as Vessia goes very wide. Same for Ginner as well, but Vessia picks up a penalty. I think Ginner picks up a penalty as well. Ginner has already got a penalty anyway. These three here who are involved in their battle have all got the penalties at the moment in this race, but that is that nonetheless for the time being as well. Kydell dropping off the back still from AC Mortal, and Mortal there checking out in the distance at this stage. I think the soft compound tyres might be able to go 14 laps, but I don't think they're going to be at their best for 14 laps for sure, as we can see here the McLaren driver is really losing time there to the AlphaTauri ahead of him. Ginner picks up a penalty as well. That is, I think, the second penalty for Ginner. I'm not quite sure. X-Gamer has been passed by Siege. Siege has now been overtaken there for P3. Gamer now up into the podium places, or back onto the podium places, I should say. He's got himself past Siege there, who was on the hard compound tyres, the highest runner of the hard compound tyres, although Percy, of course, was the pole sitter, and he did qualify on pole, but unfortunately the power cut has put paid to his abilities to try and hold on to that pole position. But hopefully Lucas Percy can get himself back up the order now. He's back in the race. But like I was saying, Siege there is under pressure, or he's been under pressure from Gamer now. He's been passed by Gamer now for P3. Siege now trying to get himself up, or keep himself in range of the Aston Martin and maybe get the overtake back for that podium place. They can see Kydell right in front of them as well. They're going to bring the gap down to the McLaren driver in the next lap or so. Let's have a look and see if they can get within DRS range. Into the pits goes Reflection, so he's called it a day there on the soft compound tyres already. He doesn't want to keep going on that stint. He's called it a day already on the soft compound tyres. Will he go onto the hards or the medium compound tyres? He's onto the medium compound tyres there for the McLaren there. So I think potentially, depending on how long the mediums can go, we're looking at, as Acid Masters has left the session. Of course, he's out of the race already, but like I said, depending on how long the mediums can go, we might be looking at a soft medium here for the McLaren outfit. We'll have to wait and see what the strategy is going to be like. Of course, you've got to try and get those tyres warmed up as well. And Sick as Muck there is going to be looming in the mirrors now of the reflection of the. Well, there's a very good pun indeed there, if you can get the words right. But he's looming in the mirrors there of Reflection himself, who of course has to get those medium compound tyres warmed up. And of course this is going to be good news for Sick as Muck if he can stick within that 1 second window of the McLaren. He can use the DRS there of Reflection to pull himself along, and of course try and keep himself away from Versier and Ginner, maybe even get himself into the points paying positions at this stage if he can get himself past Reflection there down the next straight as well. Of course DRS will be available now as we go down towards the next turn, but up the hill we go first, and here we go. Let's have a look and see if Sick as Muck is going to be close enough. DRS is available. DRS is open, but he's pushing on. Of course, the fresh tyres for Reflection is going to be useful in the McLaren's favour. And now down towards the braking zone, no moves being made there. Unfortunately, Sick as Muck's going to have to bide his time and sit behind. He's using that ERS as well, as Kiki's got another 3 second penalty, unfortunately for Kiki. Into the pits goes Kydell. Of course, Reflection just made a pit stop as well. Let's have a look and see what the McLaren driver, the next McLaren driver, is going to do as well. He's going to go onto the medium compound tyres and copy the strategy for his teammate. He is copying the strategy there as Kiki is off the circuit again. He's off the circuit, the hairpin. There's an odd place to spin the car there. Kydell coming out the pit lane now. Where is he going to come out compared to his compatriots, or his rivals, I should say? He's going to be in front of Serious Mushroom, I think, just about. It's going to be close indeed into turn 1. Serious Mushroom just slotting in behind for the time being, but of course, like I was saying earlier, the tyres are not warmed up yet for Kydell. He's going to have to bide his time as the tyres do get into operating temperature. But now Serious Mushroom takes the position there before the S's section, and that is moves done there from Serious Mushroom up into P6 there, getting ahead of the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed from him as well. Just keeping it patient there, keeping it calm and consistent, as we're very familiar with Mushroom doing as well. Good stuff from him. Like I said, soft compound tyres from Acid Masters are saying they drop off within 14 laps. The drivers who are on the soft compound tyres, both the McLarens, have called it a day earlier than that as well. So I don't think the softs are going to be a good tyre there, especially if you want to get the most out of them. They seem to drop off quite early as well. Around lap 8, wasn't it? We saw them drop off. Here comes Percy and here comes Kydell on the back of Serious Mushroom. They're both with DRS into the next turn. No moves being made. I think they're going to have to slot in behind each other and try and make a move there on Serious Mushroom in the next few laps. Yellow flags again for Kiki. I think Kiki's having a big problem there at the exit of turn 1. And he just seems to be spinning at every corner now, unfortunately for Kiki. But he's got himself back underway. Kaido has been passed there by Lucas Percy with a great move indeed down the inside there on the left-hander there. Now looking to keep it under control there for the next part of the corner, as Kiki picks up another penalty there for corner cutting. Unfortunately for Kiki, he's not having a good time there out there at this stage of the race. Lucas Percy there in P7 now. He's up into P7 after a good recovery after getting back in the car, and now looking to line up P6 there on Serious Mushroom there onto the main straight we go. Onto lap 14, and he's got the move done already before we get up the hill towards the braking zone there of turn 1. He's got up into P6 there as the Aston Martin driver, recovering there nicely in this first stint, of course. Oh, he's a bit squirrely there, but I think he's managed to keep the car. That was good news, good control indeed, especially with the throttle issues that he's been facing in quali. But he's now got himself up into P6. They're trying to get himself away from Serious Mushroom and Kaido, of course, who's had to bide his time behind Serious Mushroom at this stage. But he's not been able to get himself past the Haas driver for the time being. And of course, Serious Mushroom is fighting for points here, so he's allowed to defend. He's lost a lot of time there, unfortunately, to Lucas Percy. But I think Kaido might be able to try and sneak his way through there on the back straight there with DRS assistance as well, and those fresher tyres. 13 laps done on those on the mediums, I should say, for Serious Mushroom, but only 1 lap on the mediums for Kaido. Down the back straight we go, and Kaido has got the DRS, he's got the ERS, and he's up into P7 there, ahead of the... Oh, it's going to be close indeed in the braking zone, as Kiki's got a penalty there for speeding in the pit lane as well, and once again he quits in the pits. So that is 4 drivers technically who've quit in the pits, which is not good there for them as well. So a big shame there for those drivers who quit in the pits already. Not too bad for the drivers who are carrying on though, which is good news, as there we go. Serious Mushroom there is now got himself, is being passed by Kaido, and he's going to have to try and cling on to the back of that McLaren to keep with the McLaren for the DRS onto the next lap as well. We're on to lap 15, and we've got the Ferrari there of Kiki there, who's quit in the pit lane there, so he's just been recovered back to the garage. But there we go. Serious Mushroom there's dropped off the back. Has he got the DRS there on the McLaren? No, I think he's lost out. Unfortunately, he's going to have to stick with P8 for the time being. There we go. But Serious Mushroom there just doing a good job there, doing a quite quiet and clean job, I should say, to stick with the points runners there, getting himself in the points, as is Chewy. Chewy doing a great job indeed. Chewy has had a very difficult first few races in the 100% league, but he's looking good indeed at this stage. He's got himself in the points pen positions, and he's controlling the pace, controlling the race as well very nicely. So good stuff from Chewy. Very good. Hats off to him, especially he's not one of the faster drivers in the grid, but he sticks at it as well and keeps going in all the races, and that is more than I can ask for. Of course, the more drivers that I can commentate on, the better it is. Makes it more entertaining for everybody watching as well. But there is good stuff indeed for Reflection as well. Now trying to get himself in the DRS zone. I'm not quite sure if he got in that 1 second window on this straight. Let's have a look and see. We'll have a different camera angle will be better. We can't quite tell from this angle. No, DRS is not available there for the McLaren driver, so he's going to have to bide his time once again as we go into sector 3. He's going to be really gaining on Chewy there in this sector on those fresher tyres as well. Of course, the more grip that you have on the fresher tyres, the faster you go through the corners as well. And of course, on the older tyres, that Chewy's got 14 laps on those tyres as well. He's going to be struggling a bit more through the corners, as putting the traction down, putting the power down, as we've seen from a lot of drivers already in this race. But there we go. Right, 16 of 56. We've got 40 laps to go still, but it's been quite an action-packed first opening sort of quarter of this race, hasn't it? We're about a quarter of the way through as well, but blimey, it's been an interesting one, put it that way. As now Reflection is within DRS range of the Haas ahead of him. You can see it's getting closer and closer as we go towards turn 1. Is he going to make a move there into turn 1? No, he's not. He's bided his time. He's going to have to wait and see what he can do in the next sector. Potentially go for a move after the S's section. We'll have to wait and see if he's got that much extra grip there than the Haas of Chewy, but we'll have to find out as we go through the S's now in towards the end of sector 1. And I think he's going to have to go for a move probably on the next straight as Vessia picks up another penalty. Unfortunately for Vessia, it's not looking good at the moment in terms of the penalty situation. Same for Jinner as well. Jinner's dropped off the back of these two here. Vessia is just pushing as hard as he can to try and keep up with Sick as Muck on those medium compound tyres. But of course on the hards, he's going to have to be going a bit longer there in this stint, so he doesn't have to worry about it too much. But he's going to be trying to get himself back up into the order and try and keep within that range of the Mercedes there to bring himself forward with the DRS. I think he's going to have DRS as well available to him as we go across the detection or the activation line. He has got DRS as well, as Chewy has been passed by Reflection, has he? Into the braking zone as well on the same straight. but that is the one move being made by the McLaren. Unfortunately, the Red Bull of Vessia has to stay behind the Mercedes for the time being as well. So that is no moves being made there for Vessia, but he's just trying to bring himself back into the play there in the back of the back of that Mercedes as well. And I think, of course, with the penalty situation, it could come back to his favour, of course, on the medium compound tyres later on in this race, as Martin's been passed by Percy. Has he? Or around the final corner we go. It's side by side around the final corner. And Percy there has got the DRS this time as well, as he crosses the start-finish line to begin lap 17 there for the Aston Martin driver. He's up into P5. He's got himself past the Alfa Romeo, and he's got the other Alfa Romeo. He's got 14 seconds to gain on the other Alfa Romeo, unfortunately, though. But he's got, of course, going longer in this stint on those hard compound tyres as well. So they have less wear than the medium compound tyre runners at this stage of the race as well. So it's not all doom and gloom just yet. And he's going to be pulling up quite a gap indeed as well. It looks like he's already 9/10 of a gap ahead of the Alfa Romeo. He's up into a 1 second window before the DRS detection point. That is a great first sector indeed there for the Aston Martin driver, the pole sitter, of course, who's had a bit of bad luck with the power cut that came his way, which caused him to, of course, leave the session there. Now he's got himself back in the car, but he's back up into P5. We saw his teammate as well have issues on the first few laps there and drop down to P5 as well, but he's now got himself back up into P2 where he qualified. Where he was P3 when he qualified, wasn't it? It was P2 he was running after the opening lap there. As Kaido and Martin switching places as well into the braking zone. We go deep on the brakes there for the McLaren. He's got the move done as well, of course, on the fresher medium compound tyres. He's going to be using that to his as his advantage for the time being. Of course, the Alfa Romeo there has much older tyres, 4 times older tyres as well. Into the braking zone again, we go Vessia and Sigersmuck side by side, and this time the Red Bull has got the inside for the next right-hander. Is going to be there's contact, I think, between the two of them there, and that is not good news there. Vessia trying to dive down the inside now on the left-hander, and Sigersmuck is not having any of it, is he? He's still trying to stay with it as Lucas Percy's off. No, it's Lucas Percy's in the pit lane, that's it. So it's all right, he's carrying on. Good stuff indeed. Sigersmuck and Vessia, I think, are the ones who we're focusing on here. Here's the battle there between the Red Bull and the Mercedes. We've seen a Red Bull and a Mercedes battling away quite a few times indeed, haven't we? As Lucas Percy, of course, entered the pit lane for looks like a change there onto medium compound tyres. But here comes Vessia once again, trying to push on now. I think, like I said, the medium compound tyres have started to fade off, haven't they, in this stage of the race? So that is why we're seeing the hard compound tyre runners of Vessia. Sigersmuck there just seems to accelerate before the corner is done, isn't it? But he's been overtaken there by Vessia at this stage of the race. Anyway, he's up into P10 there, is the Red Bull driver. Good move indeed. It was all fair and clean in the end, but good battling indeed between the two drivers. And up into the points there is the Red Bull, of course, on the hard compound tyres. We've just seen Lucas Percy pit from the hards to the medium compound tyres. I'm not sure if there's something he knows better than us, but he's called it a day there on the hards already. 17 laps there on the hard compound tyres. He's on to the mediums now and looking to get some pace there on the medium compound tyres and go for it in this race. Let's have a look and see what he can do there as the race does unfold. Now only 3 drivers on the hard compound tyres. Siege in P3, who's actually gaining on Gamer. Let's have a look at this battle at the top of the field. Gamer is under pressure. He's into the pit lane. It is Gamer. He's called it a day on the medium compound tyres already. So let's have a look and see what the next phase is for the Aston Martin driver. The other Aston Martin driver, of course, we just saw pit on the last lap as Siege there regains P2. Beat will come through as well. I think we'll see a few more drivers come through. Here comes Gamer onto the hard compound tyres there. Very dusty pit lane here in Code 2, it looks like. But he's got himself back underway. Kaido is carrying on. So this is going to be tight indeed between Kaido and Gamer. You can see on board with the nose cone of the McLaren. Here is Gamer coming out of the pit lane now on the hard compound tyres. The problem is, of course, on those hard compound tyres, the warm-up is going to be incredibly difficult, and Kaido needs to be careful he doesn't go into the back of Gamer here, because Kaido there trying to keep the pressure on. He's got the move done already before they get into the S's section. He's just about got that move done before the S's, and of course the hard compound tyres for Gamer is going to take a while to warm up, so he just needs to make sure he gets them into the operating window as quickly as possible, but also making sure that he doesn't overheat them at the same time or cause any spins. He's just going through now, negotiating these corners as well. He might be able to stay within DRS range of Kaido as well, which is going to be good news indeed as Percy's back in the pit lane. He's onto the hard compound tyres again, so I'm not quite sure what happened there to Percy. He's on to the hards again, once again, so I'm not sure what is going on there for Percy. Hopefully everything's all right with the strategists down at Aston Martin, but Kaido there did get himself past Gamer, but of course Gamer now on the hard compound tyres, on the fresh hard compound tyres, will be looking to get himself back underway. And I think now he's gotten warmed up enough, he's going to be sticking with the Kaido very quickly, very closely indeed, which is good news indeed for Gamer, of course, using the DRS there to help bring himself back into play, and of course with those hard compound tyres warming him up in the right phase there to make sure that he stays within that DRS range as well, which is good news indeed for Gamer. He's backing down into P5, but that's the lowest he's been so far in this race, which is not too bad. He can get himself back up the order there. Of course, having made his pit stop, there's still drivers ahead of him who've yet to make a stop. Kaido, of course, did make a stop as well. He's been onto the soft compound tyres. He picks up a 3-second penalty there around the final quarter there. That is not good news indeed for the McLaren, but like I was saying, he's picked up a penalty there, but he's done a good job already. He's already made his stop there from the soft compound tyres there. 7 laps now on the medium compound tyres. The top 3 have yet to pit, of course. And we saw Gamer, they come into the pits very early on as well. So it was lap 18 we saw at the Aston Martin pit. So I'm not quite sure if that's going to be able to, if he's going to be able to make it to the end of the race or not on those hard compound tyres. We'll have to find out. We might be seeing, I think we're seeing a 2-stop there from the McLaren drivers as they both started on the soft compound tyres, didn't they? And they'll be going to the medium compound tyres in the second stint, and now potentially onto the mediums as well for the third stint as well. We'll have to find out what the strategy holds for these drivers, of course, how it all unfolds as well. But at the moment, it looks like Gamer's just trying to stick with the stick on the back of that McLaren. He's losing a bit of time there through the sector 1, but gaining it back, of course, down the straights with the DRS. Kaido, there's that ERS light is flashing on the back of that McLaren. That means that there's no battery power there for the, or there's limited battery power there for the McLaren to use to boost the car, along with the extra energy there, the kinetic energy that, of course, is stored from the braking as well. But like I said, there's Gamer just sticking at him for the time being. Down the back of the order, Reflection, or not down the back of the order that much actually. Reflection's got himself up to P7, and Mushroom is in down to P8 now, unfortunately for Mushroom, but he's still doing a good job there on those medium compound tyres. Of course, Reflection on 8-lap-old mediums compared to 19-lap-old mediums for Mushroom. Into the pits comes Beat there from P3. He's got a 5-second penalty for spinning in the pit lane. That is not good news indeed. Unfortunate scenes there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Hopefully he can get himself recovered there in the race itself. I think he might have to pit again potentially later on in this race. We'll have to wait and see. He's onto the medium compound tyres again, so that is going to be indicating he's going to be doing about 14 laps there, or 40 laps I suppose you could say, on the mediums entirety, because of course he's done one stint on 20-lap-old mediums as well. Out of the pit lane, it's going to be close between himself and his teammate. Sick as much gets penalty as well. Down the order, Chewy's in the pit lane as well, so that is Chewy calling it a day there on the medium compound tyres. So that is him into the pit lane for the Haas team, the first of the 2 Haas's to make a pit stop. And that is that done and dusted. I'm not quite sure what happened to Percy there, but he's managed to carry on those hard compound tyres. Chewy is back in the pits as well, like I was saying, onto the medium compound tyres again. So both the drivers who have just made a pit stop there, we saw Chewy there, and I think it was, where was he? I can't remember who it was now. It was Beat there, wasn't it, in the Alfa Romeo there. Both of these drivers there going from the medium compound tyres once again to the medium compound tyres again. So they've both done medium so far in this race, onto the fresh mediums of course now for those 2. So that is not too shabby. On to the with the DRS as well. Here comes Gamer. Gamer's got past Kaido there as we break at the end of the back straight, and of course the lack of ERS I think for the McLaren there has helped Gamer in the Aston Martin get himself past, done up into P3 once again. Beat there's got himself past his teammate there, Martin. A bit of team orders in play there. Of course, Martin's on 20-lap-old medium compound tyres compared to Beat's fresh 1 lap or half a lap old medium compound tyres as well. So it's not all done and dusted just yet, but I think Beat there on the fresher tyres has got the move done as early on as he could. So now he can get himself after the top 4 drivers as well, and try and battle for some bigger points there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Gamer there sets the fastest lap of the race there, of course, on the fresher hard compound tyres. He is looking to get himself back in the battle there for the race lead potentially. And of course, he will have to make up a lot of time there, of course. But of course, the undercut is in his favour, I would imagine. I think it's the undercut, especially around this track, is a lot more catered to the undercut than it is the overcut around Kota. Into the pit lane goes Serious Mushroom there. He's done 22 laps there on the medium compound tyres. So that is him done and dusted on the mediums. Onto the hard compound tyres he goes. So will he make it to the end of the race on the hards? We'll have to find out. Just can't turn my light on. It's getting dark in here, but thankfully we've got it's nearly springtime, isn't it? So we've got some light coming in the windows at 7:30 in the morning, but in the afternoon, I should say, or the evening, as down through sector 1 or turn 1 and 2, Sirius Rushman's come out of the pit lane, but unfortunately he's lost out to Dan Murphy there on 20 lap old hard compound tyres there for the AlphaTauri, and he's just trying to struggle. He's struggling actually here as Sirius Rushman to try and get those tyres warmed up. You can see there that the Haas is really just reacting there very negatively to the cold hards that have now been put on the car. Chewy is Sirius Rushman's teammate, of course, and he's going to be gaining in this phase as well, of course, on the fresh and medium compound tyres, and now they're up to temperature as well. That will be good news for Chewy as well. Good stuff indeed from Chewy. He's sticking at it and he's doing a good job. Same for Lucas Percy, to be fair, as well. He's sticking at it as well. He's got himself, well, he did have the fastest lap point, of course, and up until Gamer's teammate stole it away from him. Gamer's now extended the gap there to Kydell to over 1.5 seconds there, so that is looking comfortable indeed at the moment for Gamer at this stage of the race. But we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. I think we've got some drivers here on one-stop strategies and some on 2 stops here as well. So there we go. There's going to be a bit of a fluctuation there in the strategies there as Martin there crosses the start-finish line to finish off his 22nd lap. And that is 22 laps there done on the medium compound tyres there. Where's he going to come out compared to the rest of the drivers? We'll have to wait and see. Into the pits comes Jinner as well. Jinner's call it time on the medium compound tyres also. So Martin there onto the mediums once again. So again, medium there for Martin, so he's going to have to make a stop nonetheless at some point in this race, unless it starts to rain. Do we think there's going to be rain coming in this race? We'll have to wait and see. There could be some rain falling at this some point in this race. We shall have to find out. But at the moment, it seems like there's not all doom and gloom just yet. Onto the soft compound tyres goes Jinner. So Jinner's decided to put the soft compound tyres on that Alpine. So it's going to be very fast indeed. And I think that's going to be good news indeed for the Alpine outfit. Of course, Bannister is the other Alpine who is put in the pit lane. So he's the only Alpine left in this race is Jinner. But into the pits comes the race leader there of Immortal there. He's had a very comfortable race so far. He's going to be trundling into the pit lane now on lap 24 to finish off the stint on those medium compound tyres, and I think he might be going on to the hard compound tyres there, as Percy unfortunately gets a penalty there for his troubles as pushing, trying to get himself past Jinner as well. So like I said, onto the hard compound tyres goes the race leader. He's going to come out behind Siege, I think. Here is Siege going to come through up into P1. There is Siege, of course, on the hard compound tyres. So started on the opposite strategy there to Immortal, but now takes the lead of the race. But Immortal there, of course, has got himself onto a fresh set of hard compound tyres and looking to go to the end of this race now as well. We've got just over 30 laps to go. So we're getting towards the halfway point. But at the moment, Siege there takes the lead of the race, of course, 23 laps there on the hard compound tyres. This is the 24th lap, of course. And Immortal now onto the fresh set of hard compound tyres after doing 23 laps there on the medium compound tyres. So it's switching over there in the strategy phase. Gamer is only 8 seconds behind Immortal now. He's brought the gap down nicely. Of course, after that spin that he had in the first few laps, there, he's got recovered very nicely to get himself back up into the podium places. And potentially, of course, with Siege's pit stop to come, he will be able to get himself back up into P2 as well. We'll have to find out how that unfolds. Beat just got himself up into P5. Kaido in P4. There's a bit of a gap between these two, between those two drivers, of course, and there's a gap between the other McLaren as well. Reflection, but at this stage, of course, the two McLarens have started on the soft compound tyres and have now gone on to the medium compound tyres as well. So that will be looking to try and extend this stint. Probably save some tyres, save some fuel in this second stint, in this middle stint, so they can go on to the medium compound tyres again around lap, around lap 36 or so, I'd imagine. So they can do another 20 laps there on the next set of medium compound tyres, I would imagine. I'm not quite sure if that's going to go to plan, but we'll have to find out. Down the back of the order, we've got Jinner there trying to make a move on Chewy there. Into the hairpin we go. Jinner's up into P12 on those soft compound tyres. He's going to have DRS as well, I think, on the straight, because he was behind in the detection zone. So he has got himself past the Haas driver, and now looking to get himself after Sirius Mushroom as well. Sirius Mushroom there chugging along very nicely indeed, of course, on the hard compound tyres. Of course, there's lots of drivers yet to pit ahead of him, so we'll be back in the points potentially or he should be back in the points when those pit stops do unfold as well. So we're on to lap 25 of 26 or 56, I should say. We are almost halfway through, and Sirius Mushroom there switching onto the hard compound tyres 2 laps ago now, and he's looking good indeed. Sick as Muck is into the pit lane there. He's called it a day there on the medium compound tyres. What tyres is he going to go on to is the question. Yellow flags for it's a problem there for Jinner. Jinner's had a problem there at the exit of the same corner. We've seen Bannister, his teammate, and Kiki there both having issues. And unfortunately, Virginia, he's having to spin there. Sick as Muck there. He's dropping down the order as Siege is being passed by Immortal there for the race lead. Everything's happening at the same time here, unfortunately. But Sick as Muck, they're coming out of the pit lane now. He's going to be behind Lucas Percy, and it's close indeed. There's contact indeed as well between Lucas Percy and Sick as Muck there. I think that was Sick as Muck. They're coming out of the pit lane a bit too fast, and he went straight on into turn 1, didn't he? And Lucas Percy, of course, is going to be entitled to try and take the turn, but as Jenner's quit in the pits as well. So unfortunately, there's 5 drivers there quit in the pits, which is just a bit sad, unfortunately, because they couldn't be bothered to soldier on in this race. But there we go. Sick as Muck there is, like I said, just come out of the pit lane there, so looking to go to the end of this race. He's got 30 or just over 30 laps to do on those hard combat tires. I think that's going to be very doable indeed. We've seen the medium combat tires do just over 20 laps, haven't we? So I would expect the hard combat tires medium combat tires to do 20, 22, 25 laps or so, and then the hard combat tires to do the rest of the race. But there we go. Then that is that. Unfortunately, like I said, we're down to 13 runners after 18 did start, and 5 of them have retired in the pit lane. Chewy's been passed by Lucas Percy there. Chewy there just needs to keep on chugging away. I think he could get some points in this race at this stage of the race, and unfortunately we've got yellow flags there once again for in sector 1. I don't know if it was for Ginner's car that's coming out of the pit lane there. Unfortunately, that is another retirement in the pit lane, which is not looking good indeed. But there we go. Hopefully we can get at least 10 runners to finish the race, and then that will be promising indeed enough for 10 people to get some points. But at this stage of the race, we're only halfway through, or not even halfway through just yet, and we've already had 5 people retire in the pit lane, so it's not looking good. Of course, anything can happen as well in league racing, and we've seen that happen before as well, so we might get any safety cars. Anything could happen as well to get the drivers back in the back of the grid, back into the race as well, I should say. To be fair, there's not much of a gap spreading the field. We'll have a look at the gap over the lead from the leader. It is about 1 minute at the moment from Sick as Muck, who's just made his pit stop, of course. So it's not all doom and gloom just yet. It's still quite a bit of a spread. But like I said, at the moment, there's some people who just don't want to carry on, unfortunately, which is a big shame indeed. But we will discuss, of course, the format of the 100% league for next season later on in the calendar, or later on in the next coming months. Of course, we've only got 6 races left, like I said, after this one, and then we will be finishing the season at the very end of May. The last date of May, I think it's the 31st of May, is the last race of the season for the 100% league, and for all the leagues they'll be finishing that week. So they will be done and dusted there for the 100% league as well. And I think we're going to be looking at, of course, changing it up, so it will be something different indeed. It won't be the 100% league anymore. It will be something else completely. So yeah, it'll be a lot more interesting, hopefully, because like I said, I think a few people who've been struggling in the 100% league there have having a few issues, and they've decided that they don't want to take part in it, as you can just see, they've retired in the pit lane. So people like that who obviously don't want to stick out the whole race, we will try and change the format for everybody, so make it a bit more enjoyable for you. Like I said, it's difficult doing 100% races, but the good thing is it's a bit of practice as well, because obviously it makes it a lot easier for the 50% races as well that a lot of drivers do outside of the 100% league and of ALR as well. So like I said, it is all a bit more of a training phase, I suppose you could say. We've seen a lot of drivers who've said that they've actually improved on their racecraft and their abilities as well, their patience in the races, their consistency, because they're doing 100% races compared to the 50% races that they've been competing in as well. So I would say, from my point of view, it'd be nice if I could race in it as well. Unfortunately, Ginger Race does not want to commentate on this one, so there we go. But I would love to take part, but there we go. At the moment, it's just not. I'm not able to. So hopefully next season, like I said, we'll change the format. We'll change it from the 100% league to something else, and we'll be able to have Ginger Rage commentate on us as well, and hopefully I can participate as well, which would be good indeed. But at the moment, like I said, we've got 8 more races. We've got after this one, we've got 6 more races to go to finish off the season, and then we'll be done and dusted there for this season and for this game as well. To be fair, we'll be on to F123 there when that is released for the next season, which is going to be season 9 of ALR, which is just proves how long we've been going as well. It's been going on for a long old time, hasn't it? Yeah, we're looking to get everything sorted and get an exciting season 9 underway very soon. Of course, we've only got a month and a week or so now, isn't it, left of this season before we get ourselves onto the new game. Hopefully, like I was saying, at the end of June or July. We have had some news being released As oh, here comes Lucas Percy. They're trying to get himself. Oh, he's getting the power down a bit too early there, trying to get himself past Serious Mushroom. But like I was saying, like I said, the new game, we have had some news being released about the new game there, of course, which was some pretty good news as well. Indeed, it was the beta, I think it was, coming out, or getting the sign-ups for the beta for the F123 game come out. So there is links in the Discord there for that. So if you're interested in signing up for the beta for the next game, of course, it will be available in the Discord. As unfortunately, Seeker's Muck picks up another penalty there, which is a big shame there. But he's gaining on these drivers ahead of him. He's gaining on the Haas too, and he's also gaining on Lucas Percy, I think, as well. Potentially, well, I'm not quite sure. Lucas Percy just got past Serious Mushroom as well, so maybe that's maybe not so much on the Aston Martin driver, but he's gaining on the Haas drivers as well on those fresher, hard compound tyres. But like I was saying, the beta is going to be released. I'm not quite sure when, but there is sign-ups available there. Sign-ups available from EA. There, the links are in the server for the F123 game, which hopefully will be a bit better than. Well, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a bit better or not, but I don't see really what the problems are for F122. To be honest, I don't know why everyone doesn't like it so much, but I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's the best game, of course, but I don't think it's as bad as everyone's saying it is. But there we go. That's just my opinion anyway. So I'll have to ramble on about something or other, haven't I? But yeah, so I think, like I said, hopefully F123, they've got the beta testing and everything open. So, well, not open just yet, but they're signing up. Everyone's signing up for it. So hopefully they can. Whoever's doing the beta testing, if you get the lucky chance to take part in the beta, please make sure you provide EA on Codemasters with some constructive criticism, rather than just saying this game's rubbish or I don't like it. Provide them with some constructive criticism, and so that they can then get the game perfected for us to race on it. Would be nice. So I'm looking forward to hopefully the new game coming out with no bugs and glitches at all. But so far we've seen a few glitches and a few things going wrong in ALR, but in this season. But like I said, it's a long season, isn't it? So like I said, there's bound to be a few bits and pieces that pop up. It's not been too often, thankfully, touch wood. Yeah, so it's not been too bad. But like I said, hopefully in the new game, which is going to come out in just over 2 months' time, I think now. Well, we're expecting it around the end of June, beginning of July, aren't we? As usual. Yeah, so hopefully it will come out around that sort of time, similar to what it's been in previous years as well. Here comes Lucas Percy. They're trying to get a move there on Dan Murphy, and he has made that move. Oh, has he? And he has made the move there into the braking zone to go to Dan Murphy. They're up into the points paying position, I should say, after recovering there in this race. Yeah, he's got himself in the points there. Of course, Serious Mushroom there on the fresher hard combat tyres. The drivers behind him have made a pit stop as Gamer picks up a penalty, unfortunately for Gamer. Into the pits comes Reflection. So Reflection's done 18 laps there on the medium compound tyres. Is he going to be able to get the next set of tyres? 26 laps there to the end of this race. We'll find out there. He's into the pits there. He's on to the medium compound tyres again. So he's going to have to go very long in this stint. As Vessia there just goes past him as well. Same for Martin as well. And I think Lucas Percy might be able to get himself through at the end as he comes out the pit lane now. It's going to be close indeed between the McLaren and the Aston Martin. Yellow flags at the back as Chewy's had a spin there at the exit of the final turn. He's off the circuit. I don't think is there wing damage there? I think he's okay. He's got himself back underway, but a big spin unfortunately there for Chewy, which is not good news for the Haas driver. He was doing really well. Hopefully he can get himself back underway and get himself back in the points paying positions as well. He's still got some time in this race there to get himself to the finish line. But there we go. So like I was saying about the new game, hopefully, like I said, it has no bugs and glitches at all. But I doubt that's going to happen. And to be fair, we've had a lot of bugs and glitches at the opening of every game. I think a lot of people have forgotten that. So we had, of course, I remember 2020 was absolutely horrible for connectivity. We had people lagging out of the lobbies and lobby resets and lobby restarts all over the place at 2020. But actually, the game itself was not too bad, although there was some safety car glitches as well. Yeah, I remember 2020 was actually a very good game indeed. But like I said, a lot of people don't remember the bugs and the glitches that came with that one as well, which is unfortunate. Like I said, I think the problem, and as I've explained it, I can't remember who I explained this to, but I was trying to explain the format of the games there to somebody in the server anyway, and basically what it is that instead of building the game from scratch, as we're watching on board there with Lucas Percy and Reflection having a battle here, but instead of building the game from scratch, we've got like I said, we've got literally, like for example, a GTA or something like that is built from scratch. It's literally built from nothing all the way to the top. as Dan Murphy enters the pit lane there. He's done 28 laps there on the hard combat tyres. But like I was saying, so like as a gamer, sorry, takes ahead, gets the move, sorry, I should say, ahead of Siege. Siege has done 30 laps now on those hard combat tyres. They're really getting on there. Is the tyres there for Siege? I think you might be looking to make a pit stop very soon, indeed, but not so much just yet, as Lucas Percy picks up a penalty there behind Reflection there. I think the dirty air, they're not playing a good factor there for the Aston Martin driver as he goes through sector 1. But now the other Aston Martin of gamers up into P2. Of course, Siege yet to make a pit stop yet, so that will create a gap. A bit more of a gap there for Gamer, who's got himself back up into P2 there after the difficulties that he had in the first few laps. But now into the Siege is carrying on. He's carrying on for the time being. He's on to 31 laps now on those hard compound tyres. Lucas Percy trying to get himself past Reflection, I should say. Reflection, of course, has just made a pit stop onto the fresh medium compound tyres, so he's going to be a bit faster now. Those tyres have been warmed up as well. Compared to Lucas Percy's hard compound tyres as well, but we'll have to wait and see what the next phase is going to be there for Lucas Percy there, when he's going to come into the pit lane as well. Same for Vessier, same for Siege as well. And I think Kydell will have to make a pit stop as well, potentially Beat as well. We might have to wait and see what he's going to be doing. Same for Chewy. So we'll have to wait and see what the pit stops is going to be holding for the rest of this race. But there's going to be less of them now. I think there's only a handful there to come in this race. Lucas Percy still trying to get himself past Reflection though. Even on those fresh medium compound tyres, Percy's doing a great job there of trying to put the pressure on the McLaren and get himself up into P8 there for the time being. Now 30 laps done on those hard compound tyres. It's going to be pushing on to the limits there in this race. But we might see, like I was saying, I think some of the drivers there are going to be trying to go onto the medium compound tyres. Of course, will have lost a lot lighter fuel loads at this stage of the race than they did at the start of the race, so that might be not so bad on the tyre wear. Well, that will have to factor in later on in this race, and I will have to factor in a drinks break. 1 second. Lovely stuff indeed. Right, back for this battle here just in time, as here comes Percy once again there down the back straight. DRS enabled. He's a bit closer this time, I think. Let's have a look and see if he can make any moves there with the DRS, and into the braking zone we go. But still, the McLaren holds on for the time being. I think the McLaren's just biding his time there, trying to make sure that, that Lucas Percy has to go into the pit lane before he can make the move. And yeah, I think unfortunately the freshness of the medium compound tyres for Percy is just for Reflection is just making sure that Percy can't get the move done at this stage of the race. But now he's going to be very close indeed as we go round the right hander there into it's very tight indeed there for the Aston Martin. But he's got the move. He's almost looking to make the move there on that corner. I think Reflection goes very wide, and that is going to be very enticing there for the Aston Martin driver. He's now all over the back of the McLaren into the final corner, always on the traction once again. You've seen the issues there for the Aston Martin. He's just pushing too hard, too eager to get past there at this stage, and I think like I said, Reflection's going to hang on to onto the position there for the time being. But this is actually good for Percy. Of course, the fresh medium compound tyres are going to be pushing them closer to the runners ahead, and of course with the pit stop just still to come yet for the Aston Martin driver, that's not too bad at this stage. As Dan Murphy sets the fastest lap of the race there. Good stuff, and even Dan, that will be an extra point for himself and the team as well after this race. And he's looking to get himself up the order. He's not too far away from the points pen positions. Of course, there's penalties for the drivers ahead of him as well, so that might come back into play later on in this race. But back to this battle here, we've got Reflection and Lucas Percy once again battling away as down the back straight we go for the third time. This is DRS once again available there for the Aston Martin driver. As we go now down the hill, we've gone up the hill, we've gone down the hill now. Siege finally makes a pit stop, which is good news indeed. Siege there from P3 is in the pit lane. Reflection holds on to P8 for the time being still. Let's have a look at Siege, where he's going to come out in relation to this battle. He's going to be ahead of Vessier by quite a margin still as well. Lucas Percy and Reflection switching places. Reflection has conceded a place there, I think, to Lucas Percy there. Up into P8 goes the Aston Martin driver. Good stuff indeed. Vessier is going to come into the pit lane as well now. No, he's going to carry on. Is the Red Bull driver. Siege there onto the medium compound tyres. He's going to have to do 22 laps there on the medium compound tyres to get to the end of this race, and I think that is very doable. We've seen a few drivers already do that in the first few stints, and of course, like I was saying earlier, the tyre wear will be a bit lighter in the final end of the race compared to the start of the race, because of course there is less fuel load in the car as well. I thought we saw Martin having a spin, but he's managed to keep the car in the right order. Reflection there is going to try and stick with Lucas Percy for the time being. I think just trying to get himself dragged along in the McLaren for the time being as well. Like I said, they were battling away for quite a few laps there, weren't they? But now the Aston Martin has taken the place. We've got yellow flags for, who is it for? Is it for Immortal? I think, no, maybe not quite sure. I think it might be for Gamer. Gamer might have lost. I think Gamer's lost a lot of time there to Kydell. I think it was Gamer, unfortunately, had a bit of another spin there. He's not lost any positions, thankfully, this time. And I think Kydell, of course, has to make another pit stop soon. So that is not all doom and gloom for Gamer just yet. But he's lost a lot of time there. He's into the pit lane, his Gamer, and that is an odd call there from the Aston Martin driver. I think he might have been struggling to get to the end of the race. But Kydell, of course, has to make a pit stop as well. And Gamer has quite a bit of a gap there to the drivers around him with Siege. I think might be looking to try and get a jump here on Gamer as well. He's got a front wing change there for the Aston Martin. Oh, there was a contact there with the wall, I'm imagining, there for the Aston Martin driver. That is why he's in the pit lane. Unfortunate scenes there for the Aston and for Gamer himself. He's back out, and he's going to be back out in P5. But like I was saying, he's got the likes of Kydell and potentially Beat as well, who have to make a pit stop in this race still. So he's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom just yet, of course, but unfortunate scenes for that. I think Gamer might have been pushing it to get to the end of the race, to be fair. He was already on 15 lap old tyres, so he would have had to do at least 35, 36 laps on those hard compound tyres as well. It might have been a bit of a push, but he might be a bit favourable now to be actually being on the medium compound tyre to the end of this race. He's got 22 laps to go, or 21 and a half laps to go now on those medium compound tyres, which is very much doable compared to what we're expecting from the hard compound tyres. Oh my goodness, Ginger Age has woken up. He said, I can't remember the glitches at all at the beginning of F1 2020. Only Emerson kept lagging out. Yeah, well, there was a safety car glitch when, the safety car glitch which came out at the beginning of 2020, which was when the safety car would be out. It would either stay out and not come back in, and there was basically a safety car every other lap. And I remember being in a league race in Vietnam, of all places, and there was there was basically a safety car. It would come out, it would do its usual thing. We'd all catch up to the queue. It would go back in, and then the safety car would come out the next lap. So we basically have half a lap of green flag running before the safety car came back out again, and that happened consistently for about I think it was at least 5 safety cars. So yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare, that one. And in terms of the other glitches for 2020, well, I can't remember, to be fair. There's so many, of course, so many glitches all over the place. But there we go. That was definitely 2020. That glitch when that came out. Of course, the connection issues. I don't think we could get a lobby started in some cases. It was a nightmare. But I'd have to say the connectivity on, apart from crossplay, I think I have to say connectivity on 22 isn't too bad, especially with the other, compared to the other games anyway. That is. But there we go. Lucas Percy up into P7 now. He's up into some bigger points there for the Aston Martin driver. He's done 34 laps there on the hard compound tyres, same as Vessier there in P6. And Vessier, well, actually credit to Lucas Percy, he hasn't been in the session for half the race, to be fair, so far, but he's got himself back up into P7, and he's only 3 seconds behind Vessier, who's done the same amount of laps there on the hard compound tyres as well. Looking good indeed there is Vessier as well, to be fair, looking to switch onto potentially the medium compound tyres very soon as well. And I would say the medium compound tyres are probably the best shout, because I don't think it's worth actually switching onto the soft compound tyres. From what we've seen in the first stint, they can only make about 8 laps or so before they start to drop off. So maybe these drivers there who are factoring in switching onto the soft compound tyres later on potentially will have to try and rethink their strategies, I would say. Vietnam, bring it back. I would love to bring back Vietnam. I actually loved it. It was a great track indeed, wasn't it? In my personal opinion, as Lucas Percy's left the session again. That is the second time, and the first time was a power cut. Hopefully the power cut's not come back, as Lucas Percy now going to be out of the car. Let's pop him an invite quickly. Hopefully he is online still, or we can try and search for friends and try and do it that way. But I'll just type his name in, because his name is Lucas, and he is not there. And that is not good news. So it says I can't invite him now. So hopefully he can just join back off the old invite. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Lucas Percy. Hopefully he can get himself back in the car. His car is in the pit lane. Or, to be fair, it was time for a pit stop anyway, I would imagine, because he's done 35 laps there on the hard compound tyres. So maybe that is a blessing in disguise there for the Aston Martin driver. Of course, he's not in control of the car, so hopefully it just puts him onto a tyre that is suitable for the car at the moment, and not onto anything that he doesn't want to be on. Medium compound tyres it is for the Aston Martin driver. Dan Murphy's had a spin there on those medium compound tyres as well. He's coming back onto the track there. He's got himself back underway, but Chewy has unfortunately got himself past. Lucas Percy is back out on medium compound tyres, but again he is not in the car unfortunately this time. I can't send him an invite, so hopefully he can jump back into the session on his own on the previous invite. He has back in the session now. Good stuff indeed. And your car has very kindly, the Aston Martin drivers or team has kindly pitted you and put you on the medium compound tyres to the end of the race, which is very nice indeed. So yeah, I was just going back to Ginger Age's comment about Vietnam. I think it was a brilliant track. It was very treacherous indeed, because it was very close indeed between those walls, especially in Sector 3, which you had to. It was kind of like the Reflection and Martin switched places. I need to go back to the racing. Reflection now up into P7 there. He's recovered after Lucas Percy's pit stop as well. Lucas Percy now on the medium compound tyres will be going great guns indeed to the end of this race. But like I was saying, Vietnam, Sector 3 is actually quite similar, well, not too dissimilar to Maggots and Beckett's, or even the S's of Sector 1 here, as the race leader there on lap 38 now. But like I was saying, the S's were very similar compared to the Sector 3 of Vietnam, wasn't it? As well, they've got quite a similar sort of complex, but the problem with that is the walls were very close indeed. So that was if you got it wrong, right where you've got the S's in this circuit there to run off, and the same for Maggots and Beckett's on the grass as well through Silverstone. You didn't have that margin for error, did you, around Vietnam? And that was a bit more of an issue. But overall, I think it was quite an interesting racing circuit. It was a very odd design. It definitely wasn't a very traditional racing circuit, was it? But unfortunately we never raced there in F1, that is. We raced there in ALR. I think it was season 3, maybe season 4, but we definitely raced there in gold and silver. I can't remember which season it was. It was definitely 3 or 4, or maybe it was 5. I can't remember now. It was such a long time ago. But no, it was a very good game indeed. That one, once it got all the initial bugs fixed. Like I said, it was a very good game indeed. A very fun one for league racing on, I think. And of course, it was everyone's favourite, because it was the I think it was the beginning of, was it? No, I can't remember if it wasn't. What was it? When was it? No, I think it might have been. Yeah, it might have been COVID times when that game came out. So I think that might have been when everybody jumped on that game for a bit of fun. But here comes Lucas Percy. Speaking a bit of fun, he wants to get himself back in the points paying positions, and he's going to have to use the DRS there and the ERS to get himself past Sick as Muck there in the Mercedes. Gamer sets the fastest lap of the race there. Good stuff indeed from Gamer, who's looking to get himself back up the order there on those medium compound tyres after having that front wing change as well. His teammate is going purple in Sector 1 though. Sector 2, I should say. So that might put his fastest lap under a bit of pressure there for Gamer. But Lucas Percy there in the Aston Martin Aston Martin team, I should say, is not looking like a slouch at this moment. Of course, onto those fresh medium compound tyres. Now can he get himself past? Mushroom is the next stage. Mushroom is in the pit lane, so Mushroom has called it a day. Siege has left the session as well, so Siege there is having issues also. Lucas Percy's at the fastest lap of the race. Mushroom has called it a day there on only 17-lap-old hard compound tyres. So I'm not quite sure what the strategy is calling for the Haas driver here, but he's decided to call it a day already. And he's going to go into the pit lane onto the medium compound tyres. So a bit of an odd call there from Serious Mushroom, I think. But he's going to be very fast indeed on those fresh mediums to the end of the race. And now he's coming out of the pit lane there. It's going to be tight between himself and Dan Murphy. He's going to be close indeed between his teammate as well. Here comes... oh, wait. Where is he? Oh no, that's the race leader, sorry, of AC Immortal. Sorry, I'm getting the Alpha Tauris mixed up. I'm afraid he's been lapped now by AC Immortal, sorry, Serious Mushroom. But of course now on the fresh medium compound tyres can look at to push on now and get some moves done. Kaido is in the pit lane. He's done 27 laps there on those medium compound tyres. That is one hell of a stint indeed. He's going to lose the place there to beat there at the moment. Siege needs to get himself back in the session. I need to send him an invite as well. But hopefully he can get himself sorted and jump into the session. Siege is online, well not online, but he's on the PSN it says, so I've sent him an invite. Hopefully he can get himself back in. Kaidel is dropped down to P5 there. Of course, Gamer there switching up into P4 after getting past the McLaren who's in his pit stop phase. But hopefully, like I was saying, hopefully the Williams driver of Siege can get himself back in the car. We've seen Lucas Percy have his issues in this race as well, which is a big shame indeed. But like I said, everyone seems to be still plugging away for the time being as well. Now 13 laps remain, sorry, 15 laps, I suppose you could say, remain. But Siege then needs to get himself back in the car as quickly as possible. Lucas Percy sets the fastest lap of the race. Once again, he's got a gap of 6 seconds already to Sick as Muck. He's really been pushing on there, has the Aston Martin driver to get himself back up the order. And of course, there's a lot of drivers who are on much older tyres ahead of him as well. So that will be very favourable later on in this race. Vessier has done the full race distance so far on those hard compound tyres. I haven't noticed this yet until just now, but he's done 39 laps. I thought, well, this is his 39th lap there, isn't it? On those hard compound tyres. Of course, the race leader has just started lap 41. Coming around turn 1 and 2 now, but Vessier is really going for it on this at this stage of the race, and he's like I said, what a stint it's been as well on those hard compound tyres. He's really pushed on there. He's got, of course, got to make a pit stop at some stage, unless there's rain on the way. But maybe he knows something that we don't. Maybe he knows something that the other drivers don't as well. The whole street's gone off, says Siege. Do you live near Lucas Percy by any chance? Because it seems like you two are having problems with your power. Fingers crossed mine doesn't go as well at the same time. But I'm sure I'll have to get a hamster to run in a wheel there for a bit of electricity generation. Because I'm not going to be running myself, am I? There we go. But yeah, unfortunately for Siege, the street's gone, his power's gone off, and he can't get himself back in the lobby. He can't get the PlayStation turned back on, unfortunately, which is a big shame indeed. Serious Mushroom and Chewy there switching places there as we go down the back straight. Haas drivers there switching the order. Serious Mushroom, of course, on fresher tyres. Gamer's got himself past Siege. Siege, of course, not in the car, unfortunately, which is a big shame. Hopefully he can get himself back in. Of course, on penalties, he'd still be in with a shout of a podium place. But unfortunately, the power has gone off at this stage of the race, which is not good news for the Williams driver. He'll be dropping down the order, unfortunately, at this stage of the race, which is a big shame. But hopefully he can get himself back in the car in the next lap or so, or next few laps anyway, because I said there's still 15 laps to go in this one. And we've seen Lucas Percy unfortunately drop out of the session twice, but he's now recovered himself back up into P9 already, which is looking good indeed there for the Aston Martin driver. He's done a fantastic job there, even with the issues that he's been facing, to get himself back into the points pen positions now. He's looking to try and catch up to Martin. Of course, 18 laps there on those medium compound tyres. I don't think their mediums are going to get to the end there for Martin. He might see him jump into the pits there for a set of soft compound tyres in the next 4 or 5 laps, I would expect. Potentially the same there for Vessier as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Vessier has been passed by Reflection there as there's going to be contact, I think, between the two of them there, but Vessier there has to concede, I would have to say, because those tyres there, 39 lap old, he's still trying to fight for the move here, is Vessier. Okay, yeah, he's on 39 lap old hard compound tyres compared to the 11 lap old medium compound tyres for Reflection. If I was Vessier there, I would just have to concede the fight, I'm afraid, and just crack on with the next part of the race. But that's not me. That's just me. Sorry, that's not Vessier. Of course, Vessier is now coming in the pit lane, but he wanted to fight every tooth and nail there for that position there for against Reflection. Into the pits he comes now to finish off that mammoth stint there, 40 laps or 41 laps there on the hard compound tyres, and onto the mediums he goes there. He's a bit late there on the medium compound tyres, I would say, because he's got 14 laps left of this race. I reckon he could have got another. He could have painted another 5 laps earlier and got those mediums to the end of the race comfortably as well. So he's going to drop down behind Sick as Muck, I think, here. Sick as Muck, of course, he did resume a battle there with the Red Bull driver quite a few laps ago now. But they're going to be looking to battle again for some more points pen positions. Vessier, they're carrying on in that stint. Here comes Kaidel. Kaidel's got past Siege. Unfortunately, Siege, like I said, still not in the car, which is a big shame indeed. Hopefully he can get himself sorted as quickly as possible. What's your hamster called? Mine's called Alvin. That's a chipmunk as far as I'm concerned, Alvin. But my hamster is called Gerbil, because why not? Martin and Lucas Percy. Once again, these two resuming a battle as well, but I think Lucas Percy there breezing past at this stage of the race. Of course, like I said, the Alfa Romeo's medium compact tyres, I don't think it's going to get to the end of this race, unfortunately, so it's going to be struggling there in the next few laps or so. We saw the maximum I think we've seen on the we've seen Kydale do 27 laps there on the medium compact tyres, but that was a push as well. So I'm not quite sure if we're going to see Martin be able to finish the race on those medium compact tyres. He might have to switch it up very soon onto a set of softs or another set of mediums potentially as well. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm not quite sure if it's going to be anytime soon. I think Martin wants to soldier on for the time being, or does he? No, he does want to carry on for the time being as well. Talking of Vietnam, what track would I bring back? I'll come back to that one, as here we got Vessier trying to get himself back up into P9 ahead of Sick as Muck there. Around the final corner we go on the fresh mediums there for the Red Bull driver, of course, and now with DRS available to him as well. He's got the move done already, and up into P9 we go. He's off the circuit there. I think that was a warning for the Red Bull driver. I'm not quite sure what is going on there, as deep on the brakes goes Sick as Muck once again. These two seem to be the last of the late breakers, aren't they? But nonetheless, Vessier has got himself up into P9 there ahead of the Mercedes for the time being as well. And of course, as he picked up a 3-second penalty, I think that was a warning that he got for going wide on the main straight there, and that is an extra warning he got through the S's as well, and that is another penalty there for the Red Bull driver. But he's dropped Sick as Muck by over a second in the first sector. We saw the only other driver to do that was Lucas Percy, with a great drive indeed as Reflection and Lucas Percy, speaking of the Devils, are battling away down the back straight, and up into P6 goes the Aston Martin driver there on the fresher medium compact tyres. Into the pits goes Beat from P2. He's going to lose out to Gamer and to Kydale, I think. Potentially Siege, but of course Siege is waiting for his power to come back on. Hopefully he can, like I said, once he has got the power back on, he can get himself back in the car. He will still be on for some good points here, actually, as Beat, they're serving a penalty, I think, there. He's now onto the soft compound tyres, so he's the only driver now on the grid on the soft compound tyres. He's going to be very quick indeed as well when he comes out of the pit lane, but there we go. As he is back out in P5 there. No penalties yet for the Alfa Romeo driver as well, which is good news. There's lots of penalties ahead for the drivers around. So if he can get himself some good lap times in and get himself back up the order, he could potentially be on for a podium here. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds there for the Alfa Romeo driver. But he's, of course, the race winner, the most recent race winner in the 100% league. He of course won in Japan last week, or not last week, it was 2 weeks ago now. Of course, we had the break week. Sick as Muck is back in the pit lane, so he's called it a day there on the hard compound tyres. He's deciding to go for a different strategy now, and onto a set of soft compound tyres. So it seems like the softs are phasing in now, as a few more drivers there choosing to go onto the soft compound tyres. Percy picks up a penalty, unfortunately for him. That is not good news, but of course on the fresh medium compound tyres still, he's not looking too shabby. Chewy is back in the pit lane as well. He's onto the softs, I would imagine, for the Haas driver as well. Good stuff indeed. Yeah, like I said, Siege, it's just a bit of a real shame. More to news that I was going to catch him, says Siege. So at least Siege has got his sense of humour still. But I would be very upset with the situation there. Hopefully he can get himself back in the car as soon as we can. And like I said, still get some good points for himself and the Williams team. He's currently in P4. And I don't think, like I said, he's got the likes of, even if he comes back, he's got a 17-second gap, a 20-second gap almost between himself and Lucas Percy at this stage. So he could potentially get himself at least 10 points there if he can get himself back in the car. He will need to get himself back in the car to finish this race. Otherwise, he will not be classified there, unfortunately, when he crosses the finish line. So it's going to be a bit of a shame there if Siege can't get himself back in the car in the next few laps or so. But he has got 10 laps to go, or 11 laps to go now. So there's still time, so it's not all doom and gloom just yet, as we got Martin there entering the pit lane there from P8. He's called it a day as well on those medium compound tyres. 22 laps there on the medium compound tyres, and onto the softs. I imagine he will copy his teammate strategy and go onto the soft compound tyres to the end of this race. 11 laps to go now, as he's going to come out behind Vessier. I think Dan Murphy might be able to sneak a position here as well. It will be close indeed as we come trundling down the pit lane towards the exit. And now onto the power we go for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's going to see the Alpha Tauri of Dan Murphy in the background. Around turn 1 we go. And Dan Murphy is slotting in. He's going to take the position there on a cutback there, on the switchback, I should say, into turn 2. And he's got the move done, has Dan Murphy up into P9. And Martin there on the fresh soft compound tyres is going to have to bide his time and stay behind in P10 for the time being. We can see the Alpha Tauri on the background there of AC Immortal there. He's the next car to come through. He's going to be lapping the drivers behind him, or ahead of him just now. These two here, they've just come out the pit, or come out the pit lane for Martin. As you can see an AlphaTauri right behind him and right in front of him, but the one behind him is looking to lap him. He needs to get a move on now on that on those soft compound tyres to try and get himself past Dan Murphy and get himself up the order. Anyway, like I was saying, Ginger Rager said, talking of Vietnam, what track would you bring back? In terms of tracks that we've raced on in ALR, that we as Kydell and Gamer battling away into the first few corners, the S's here as well. Gamer and Kydell switching it. Oh, as Gamer's got a penalty there, picking up a penalty there for track extending. Unfortunately there for the Aston Martin, Kydell gets himself through and up into P2 there. But these two, I don't think they're going to be too quiet in the rest of this race. Reflections on the back in the pit lane as well. You didn't have 15 laps there on the tyres there. I think you would have to get. It would have to be a mammoth stint indeed, wouldn't it, for him to get them to or 26 laps indeed to get himself to the end of the race on those medium compound tyres. But we saw his teammate Kydell do 27 laps, so it is doable. But he's onto the soft compound tyres anyway. He's called it a day there on the mediums. On to the softs we go, as Martin there is still behind his rival there of Dan Murphy, and he's still within that sandwich there of the AlphaTauris. Out of the pit lane goes Reflection as Gamer and Kydell switching places again into Sector 3. These two are really battling at it, aren't they? Down the back straight, and stays status quo for the time being. P3 for Gamer and Kydell in P2. Vessier there up into P7 there after Reflection's pit stop. He's 2 seconds ahead of Dan Murphy, but of course on the fresher soft compact tyres will look to extend that gap and try and get himself after Vessier and Lucas Percy further ahead as well. Martin has to stick behind for the time being and try and bide his time on this one, but you never know what can happen. Hopefully, like I said, Martin can get himself past the AlphaTauri and potentially get some more points there for himself and the team. Here comes Gamer down the main straight. No moves being made into turn 1 as Kydell covers off the slipstream, I should say, but the red light is flashing on the back of that McLaren to show that there is not much battery power left in the McLaren there to defend from the attacking Aston Martin. So we'll have to come back to that one, as I'm going to try and get back to Sean in the comment section. He says, talking at Vietnam, which track would you bring back? And I said, in terms of a track that we've actually raced on in ALR, to be fair, there's only two that spring to mind. There's either Vietnam itself or Hockenheim. Is my shout. Usually Hockenheim would put up a good show, wouldn't it? I think in terms of league racing as well. It was always a bit difficult. I think that Sector 3 in Hockenheim was a bit complex, and it was a very narrow circuit as well, wasn't it? Definitely not as nice and wide as the Kota circuit that we're racing on tonight. But yeah, I would have to say it was it was an interesting race circuit for league racing. That is. Beats trying to get himself past Siege there. Unfortunately, the ghost car of Siege is still sticking about. He's not been able to get himself back in the car. He's down to P5 at the standard. Well, he's got a 10-second gap to Lucas Percy though, so if he can get himself in the car in the next few laps, then that'll be okay. But unfortunately for Percy, unfortunately for Siege, he's not been able to get the power back on just yet, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go. Gamer's still trying to bide his time there. He's got older tyres than the McLaren, but he's not phased by that at all at the moment, is he? Martin's still struggling to get himself past Dan Murphy there. Both these drivers running out of VRS, it looks like, as well. But Martin on the fresher soft compound tyres, I would have expected to try and get himself through as quickly as possible. He might have another opportunity down at the back straight. Here we go once again, but I think Dan on the traction is just gaining too much time there on the Alfa Romeo driver, and that is giving him enough of a gap to at least get the move, or keep the position, I should say, ahead of the Alfa Romeo, who's trying to fight for that position. Both the red lights are on, blinking away. But there we go, Kydell and the Gamer once again resuming their battle up the order. Nothing has changed just yet, but of course there's DRS to come. So Siege apparently powering back on for at least an hour, says Siege. That is not good news. What about Russia, says Sean. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Russia, so there we go. But no, I think I'd rather have... as we've got yellow flags. Yellow flags. No, it's all gone. Winnie has started a party. Well, I don't want to join that one, I'm afraid. Here comes Gamer, though, down the back straight, and he's going to be putting on a fight now for the P2 position. He's got to move down the inside. He's up into P2 for the time being anyway, as he's got himself past Kaidel into the braking zone there and up into P2. Kaidel dropping down to P3. Of course, the penalties will come back into this battle as well, you would imagine, and we'll have to look at the penalties very soon, as of course we're coming towards the end of the race. But like I said, so far it's been a one hell of a battle between these two, and I think it's going to carry on. Of course, Kaido's got much fresher tyres, or 5 lap fresher tyres as well, so that might factor in towards the end of this race as well. Only 6 or 7 laps to go now as we cross the start-finish line once again. To finalise the 49th lap, or no, the 48th lap I should say. We're on to lap 49 now, as Mortal's got quite a nice gap in front at the moment, hasn't he? So unfortunately Siege was the closest challenger, but Siege unfortunately not able to get himself back in this race at this stage because of course the connection issues. It seems like 2 people, I'm not quite sure where Lucas Percy and Siege live in the UK, but they both have had power cut issues tonight during the race, that is, as well. Lucas Percy has managed to get himself back in the race, but unfortunately for Siege, he has not been able to do the same as yet anyway, and he's saying that the power is not going to be back on in time for the restart, or for the end of this race, I should say, which is a big shame indeed for Siege. He's been very consistent up until that point as well, and he was looking good for even a podium, potentially a P2, and he maybe even, if Mortal made a mistake or two, he might be able to claim a race victory as well, but unfortunately not at this stage. Here comes Kaidel coming back at the Aston Martin of Gamer into the end of Sector 2, but no moves being made this time. He's going to have to bide his time, sit behind. It looks like the red light flashing there on the McLaren would indicate that he's got a lot less battery then than the Aston Martin as well, so I think we think that might be a good news for Gamer in his favour of trying to keep hold of P2 for the time being anyway. Hockenheim would be good to bring back. I would love the pre-2001. Yes, I think that would be one hell of a race, especially in 100% League. So yeah, I'm sure we could bring that back. That would be good indeed. In terms of tracks that we could bring back that obviously we haven't raced on in ALR before. I'm thinking of the sort of the Nürburgring. What else? Obviously Malaysia I would love to bring back. That used to be on the F1 games, didn't it, as well? India wasn't too bad. I didn't like it that much, but there we go. Turkey for sure. I'll bring Turkey back. So there's quite a few. There's quite a few that I wouldn't mind, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Potentially we'll have a lovely DLC pack, as well as all of the extra sofas that we get in F1 Life on the new game, and we might get some extra circuits as well as our new sofas, but we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds in the new game. But yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, there we go. We can have a discussion about it, and we can try and send off our thoughts to EA as Lucas Percy claims that P5 position there. Siege, of course, was a bit defenceless of not being in the car, but he might be able to cling on to P6 here potentially if he can cross the line. 23 seconds, 24 seconds ahead of Vesio as it stands. But of course, Vesio has a penalty as well, so that'll be added on to his race time at the end of this race. Immortal there trying to lap his teammate of Dan Murphy, who is currently in P9. He's dropped off as Martin, who was battling away for P9 as well on those soft compound tyres. I think the soft's already gone after 5 laps there on this stint. That is one hell of a short stint indeed, unless Martin has made a mistake or had an issue. Hopefully he can get himself back underway. He's still within the points paying positions, which would be his first points there in the 100% League. Of course, he has joined very recently, so he's looking to get some points on the board there for himself and the Alfa Romeo outfit as well. But there we go then. So Kaido there he's dropping off the back, I should say, of Gamer. He's within the DRS range still just about, but he's almost without that 1 second window. So he needs to make sure he clings on to the back of that Aston Martin to at least try and get himself in the points paying positions. We'll have to look at the penalty situation in a minute. I don't want to lay on your sofa. I want to race around Hockenheim pillars. Is he's trying to invite me to his sofa every time I say F1 Life. If every time you say F1 Life, you get a new sofa in F1 23. That is what I heard. So the more I say it, the more sofas I get. That's what I've been told anyway. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to all my new sofas on the new game, and I'm looking forward to hopefully racing some new tracks as well. Like I said, Hockenheim, a bit of DLC for some Hockenheim and some Sepang in Malaysia. That would be very nice indeed. Now that'll do for me, as well as a bit of Turkey as well. So I'll have some Turkey, I'll have some Sepang, and I'll have some Hockenheim, if that's all right with you, and some sofas to go with it. so that'll do for me. But we need to talk about the penalty situation there for these guys as well. 6 seconds there for game. I think that might be why Kydell is just cruising around at the moment, because he knows that he's got a 3-second buffer to the Aston Martin driver ahead of him. So that is why Kydell is just taking his time at this stage. Doesn't need to pass just yet, because he knows that if he can just stay within 3 seconds of the Aston Martin ahead of him, he can get that P2 back from Gamer instead. He doesn't have to fight for it. As Percy's got 9 seconds, but I think Siege there might drop out of that 9-second window as he's not in the car just yet. Sorry, Vessier's got 12 seconds, and that will put him in peril of dropping down to P9 potentially as well here, as Dan Murphy is almost within that 12-second window, and Sickers Muck, unfortunately, he's got too many penalties there to have to worry about. See, Chewy's just I think letting the he's one of the lap cars, isn't he? But he's letting the faster drivers through there with the blue flags, which is very sportsmanlike of him as well. I know I would full well rather be lying on my sofa. No, definitely not. No, definitely not. No, I can't condone these comments and these actions. I would much rather be watching F1 or playing F1 on the fantastic tracks that we've got. Of course, as Sick as Muck and Serious Mushroom are switching places. Not quite sure what happened there. Sick as Muck, he seemed to have a bit of a problem there on the soft compound tyres and trying to get himself back underway. But there we go. As and Ginger Age and something are talking about vibrating sofas and stuff now, so I'm going to have to ignore the comment section. I think it's just too dangerous in there. Vibrating sofas are just terrifying for me. Can't possibly deal with those. Reflection has got a 3-second penalty. That is not good news. I think that's his first penalty of the race. It is his first penalty of the race. It's not going to affect him too much unless Dan Murphy can get within that 3-second window there of the McLaren. Yeah, that is his first penalty of the race so far. We're on to lap 53 of 56. We're nearly there. We're getting towards the end there. What the F has I nearly read that out. What the F has, says Troy in the comment section. I think just trying to read what is going on there in the comment section between Dan and Ginger Rage there. Both of them having a bit of a nice time, put it that way, together, which is very romantic, very cute. Anyway. Sick as Muck there is on the back once again of Serious Mushroom, as DRS is available for the Mercedes driver. Down the back straight we go. Hopefully no Alonso incidents down here, but it seems like Sick as Muck there once again late on the brakes there. Serious Mushroom there goes around the outside, keeps hold of the position there for the time being. Good stuff indeed there from the Haas driver there to hold on to the place at this stage of the race. Good stuff from Serious Mushroom to stick at it as well. Same for Chewy as well. He's on the soft compound tyres. Seems to be going a bit slowly there. Hopefully he can get himself back to the race. Immortal there has called it a day there on the hard compound tyres. He's got enough of a gap there, to be fair, to make a stop and go on to the soft, potentially go for a fastest lap as well on this last couple of laps of stint. Driver of the day has been put out. I should say there's your position changes. Immortal, of course, will come back out in P1 as well. But he's got Dan Murphy. Well, we don't want Dan Murphy. Vessier, Percy. We don't want Percy either. He's unfortunately not a full-time driver. And Immortal there is your driver of the day. Driver of the day options there. So get your votes in for this wonderful USA Grand Prix. Get your votes in there for the driver of the day poll as well. But no, good stuff indeed for all the drivers who basically got themselves this far through the race. Hopefully they can get themselves to the end of the race as well. Immortal there on the soft compound tyre now, and that is that there for Immortal. He had, like I said, a 38-second lead. He's come out 17 seconds ahead of Gamer there, so it's only 22-second pit time loss, I should say. It's not too bad indeed, but nonetheless, all the drivers there who've got themselves this far in the race have done a fantastic job. It is, like I said, 100% race is no mean feat, and I mean it literally. It is very difficult indeed. Like I said, the original sort of 50% league racing, I think, came in because nobody could be bothered to do 100% races, but I think these are probably a much more interesting, a much more realistic sort of phase of racing. I remember when I did 100% races, they were very much more fun for me than a 50% race, because I could actually do some racing. And even if the fast guys were fast, then I could at least be working on the consistency and the cleanliness and racecraft of my abilities, which have now, of course, gone downhill because I don't do 100% races anymore. But there we go. So that is that. Kaido is still clean onto the back of the Aston Martin of Gamer there. He's within the DRS range, but again, Gamer is doing his best to try and push over that 1 second window, so he doesn't have the DRS there to give the McLaren. But at the moment, he's doing his best as Kaido to stick within that window for the time being. We're on to lap 55 of 56. I think that is Serious Mushroom there, who's about to be lapped there by Immortal there on his soft compound tyres. He's going to be very, very quick indeed. Is Immortal, of course, on those soft compound tyres on the faster tyre, or the fast S tyre, as he has got past Serious Mushroom as well now. And of course, like I said, he's gone purple in sector 1 on those softs, and I think he'll be looking to try and set himself a nice fastest lap there on lap 55 of 56. Down penultimate lap we are on for the time being anyway. We will be finishing off lap 55 and lap 56 very soon, hopefully, so that we can then have a nice lie down on Pillar's sofa. But there we go. And those were the days, says Pillars. Yes, I remember those days. Wait, which ones? The ones when I've been lying on your sofa, or the ones when I've been 100% league racing? I can't remember. Well, maybe it was both. But anyway, so now into Sector 2 we go. I think this is going to be a guaranteed fastest lap here for Immortal. He's looking great indeed there in the AlphaTauri, of course, leading from, well, it wasn't in pole position, of course, because Percy was the driver to set the pole lap, but unfortunately, literally set the pole lap, and then at the beginning of the race, disconnected, literally at the beginning of the race as well. Didn't even get to take the race start, but which is a big shame indeed. But he's got himself up into P1. Has Immortal there. He's got himself the fastest lap there with a 34.043 on lap 55 there. Good stuff indeed there from Immortal. And there we go. Like I said, up into the higher echelons. I think I'm sure he's going to be very close indeed. If he hasn't already, we'll have to do the maths quickly as well. We've got 6 races remaining. That is, what is that? 26 times 6. That is lots of numbers. That is 140. And what's 6 times 6 as well? I can't remember. 42, isn't it? No, I can't remember. 36, isn't it? 46. 176 is the remaining points on offer. So we'll have to wonder what the gap is going to be, as Lucas Percy is now slowed down as well. What's going on here? I'm not quite sure what's happening here. They haven't finished the race just yet. I don't know what's going on, but Lucas Percy is now out of the session as well, it looks like. So yeah, odd stuff going on all over the place. Immortal, though, is going to come round into Sector 3 there to finish off the 56th lap of 56 as well. What a race he's done indeed in the AlphaTauri. We've seen the championship leader battling on, and he's battled through as well. Thankfully not had any connection issues that I think he's actually been plagued by as well before. But nonetheless, he's got himself back up the order. He's up into P1. He's coming round the final corner. He needs to make sure he doesn't spin the car, but he's managed to make it round the final corner once again to win the USA Grand Prix and get another win under the belt for the AlphaTauri team and for himself as well, of course. And that is pretty much, if it isn't already, I would have to double check, but I think it's pretty much guaranteed the championship there to AC Immortal, of course, even with a few points still on offer, of course. But what a race indeed from the championship leader, and a well-deserved championship win there for the AlphaTauri and for the AC Immortal as well. Great stuff indeed. Gamer there does finish in P2, Kaido in P3. I think it must have been a penalty for Kaido later on in this race to make it even there on the penalty situation there. So Gamer there in the podium places. Same for Kaido as well. Sikazmaka there gets another penalty there for corner cutting, unfortunately for Sikazmaka there, but he's going to be disqualified unfortunately before he crosses the finish line, so hopefully he can get himself to the finish line. And to be Siege and Lucas Percy have switched places again, and I think what's happened there, I think Lucas Percy's had a problem there, but Beat has got himself up into P4 there, of course, the race winner there from 2 weeks ago in Japan, of course, before the break week there. So good stuff indeed from Beat. We'll be back, of course, next week. And that is that. So good stuff indeed, as Serious Mushroom has put some nice swear words in the comment section, which is fantastic. I can't read that out, I'm afraid. Vessia there crosses the line in P7, but I think he will lose places here to Dan Murphy and Reflection up into P7. Dan Murphy will cross the line very shortly as well indeed, to get himself up into P. No, he won't be stay in P9. Unfortunately, Vessia carries on in P8, and Martin there crosses the line to get his first points of the season. I'm such a mortal, the champ by 1 point. I don't know what that means, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. But anyway, we'll get the drivers in for an interview, hopefully, or somebody hopefully can add him to the party. We have got Immortal Gamer and Kydel, the drivers on the podium today, and Immortal, of course, with the championship on the cards potentially. Well, like I said, we'll have to wait and see now, and we'll have to bide our time and find out, because I don't know. But there we go. Great stuff indeed there from all the drivers, and well done to the drivers who finished the race off, of course, and well done to the drivers who, of course, got the podium as well. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just trying to find out what the order is. It's 146 points gap to Kydel, and of course Kydel to get a podium. So it's not the championship just yet. So we're not done and dusted just yet. So bear with us. We'll have to do the maths quickly, but I don't think I'll have to just type it out quickly. 1 second. There is your championship order, or finishing order there. 156 points. There's the gap. So is the gap there left in this race in terms of the number of points left in the championship? I should say 156 points. It is not done just yet, because of course Kydel did get 15 points on the cards as well, so that is not all sorted just yet. So good. Oh, it might be actually. It might be spot on exactly, because yeah, we'll have to work it out, I'm afraid, and I'm very sorry if to Immortal if I've got that wrong, but I've been misled with the wrong information by Sean, of course. Ace Immortal though is your winner. Gamer in P2, Kydel in P3. We'll just have a quick rundown of the classification from further down the order as well, because we're going to run out of time, unfortunately. But good stuff indeed there for the top three drivers. Well done to everybody who finished off the race as well. It was one hell of a race indeed, and yeah, good stuff from everybody who took part, to be fair, who got to the finish line. Immortal has won it, says Sean. Good stuff. Well, that's helpful. Would have been nice if I could have congratulated him on the stream, but there we go. Right then, I think that's it pretty much. We haven't got anybody who joined us just yet, I don't think, for the commentary, for the podium just yet. So no, I need to try and add people to the party as well. Bear me 1 second. Gamer and Kydel, wasn't it? Well, the championship leader, or championship winner, apparently is now jumped over to Call of Duty. So he's keen to have an interview, I'm guessing. But we'll invite them in anyway, of course. Kydel, I think, is just joining us. So hopefully we'll get a couple more people into the lobby as well. Fingers crossed we can now get the audio sorted, and we can at least try and get some interviews underway. Fingers crossed. I think Kydel has joined us. I'm not sure if he's the only one who's joined us so far, but hopefully Kydel can hear us. How are you, Kydel, and how was that race for you?
Hi, Alex. Fine. It was a good race for me. Enjoyed it. Getting my medal in the next game, so it was a lot of fun.
Good stuff indeed. Sorry, you're coming through my you're not coming through the right place, unfortunately, for me at the moment. Bear me 1 second. Right, hopefully that's better now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Oh, that's much better. Yeah, good stuff. Well, you had a fantastic race in the end, and a great battle there as well with X Gamer towards the end of the race. How did you feel when that was unfolding? Did you think you might be able to sneak the second place?
I had the second place in the pocket until the last few laps. I was thinking about what I was going to say while in the interview, and I got distracted and got another 3-second penalty. But yeah, it was a bit strange to see that Gamer in first stint, he was on hards and I was on mediums, and I couldn't keep up with him. But then and when we both were on mediums, I think his were a few laps older than mine. but we had about the same pace, so that was strange to see, but it was a nice race.
No, it was very good indeed from our point of view, and very entertaining to watch as well. So,
Thanks.
what was your thoughts? Do you think? Lois, I think we'll have to wait and see, because I think I'm trying to do the maths at the moment in my head myself. But you got 15 points on the board. Immortal got 26, so that would be 11-point gap. So I think he might have clinched the championship title there tonight, which is a bit of a shame, because I was going to hopefully give him an interview as well. But yeah, it might be your second place in the championship as it stands. Yeah, I think you might be just outside the championship title range, unfortunately now, which is a big shame indeed. But fantastic season from you nonetheless. We've still got a few more races to go to try and get some more points under your belt as well. But what's your thoughts there on the championship winner there of Immortal?
If I can stay on the podium by the end of the season, that's an accomplishment for me. So not expecting any more than that, because I know KD wasn't there, but he's pretty fast. X-Gamer as well. Reflection is also up there. So if I finish on the podium this season, I'll be very happy.
Well, you've done a good job there of promoting your prospects there in this race as well, with a great podium once again tonight. I think that's it for the interviews, because I don't think anybody else has joined us, unfortunately, which is a big shame. But nonetheless, really well done from you, Kydell, and hopefully we'll see you in the next week as well in the next race, I think, which is actually going to be Baku, of all places. Of course, we're going to be going to be ahead slightly of the official F1 calendar. What's your thoughts quickly for Baku there in the next race?
Podium place, 2 Belgians on the podium.
We'll have to keep that run up, so of course we'll be looking forward to seeing that happen again. But well done to you as well for tonight, and we'll hopefully see you once again in a week's time as well.
Thank you as well. Bye.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, and of course we'll be having much more ALR action. USA will be back for gold, silver and bronze on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday coming up. And then, of course, we in Baku in a week's time there for the 100% League. So stay tuned. We'll have more